Chapter 43-34. This is, Su Ren and Fang Xian were shocked and immediately put down their wine glasses. Because there were 7 auras inside. They were Theta Wang Chuan's group of 7. Obviously, they were here to take revenge. Sure enough, they came. Qin Feiyang was very calm. But in this calmness, there was a monstrous murderous aura. Fang Xian and Su Ren didn't feel it, but Lin Yi clearly felt Qin Feiyang's anger at this moment. She also knew. Previously, Qin Feiyang didn't kill Theta Wang Chuan's group of 7 in order to test the attitude of the Demon Palace's management. At this time, these people came menacingly. They didn't seem to be here to apologize. Li Si also ran out in a hurry. Looking at Qin Feiyang's group of 4, he comforted, "You don't have to be nervous. I will go out and talk to them." After saying that, he quickly ran out of the restaurant. When he looked up, he saw 10 figures standing in the sky. In addition to Theta Wang Chuan's group of 7, the other 3 were law enforcers of the Demon Palace. Their aura was very powerful. "Let's go out and take a look too." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, put down his wine glass, got up, and walked out of the door. A cold light flashed in Lin Yi's eyes, and she also got up. Fang Xian and Su Ren looked at each other and quickly followed. Their faces were full of worry. It turns out to be the law enforcers of the Demon Palace. Li Si chuckled, rose into the air, and landed opposite the 3. He cupped his hands and said, "May I know what brings the 3 of you to my Tianhua building?" "Don't ask when you already know the answer. Quickly ask those 4 reckless things to come out and accept their death. Otherwise, don't blame us for not showing mercy to the 2 tower masters of your Tianhua building." The 3 law enforcers said angrily and arrogantly. Li Si's eyes sank and said, "The 3 of you, this is too much. I have investigated this matter. The ones who caused the trouble are the disciples of your Demon Palace. As law enforcers, shouldn't you discipline them? You don't need to worry about this. We will definitely discipline those who need to be disciplined. However, we will not let off those who offend the dignity of our Demon Hall. As for your Tianhua Tower, don't think that you can look down on my Demon Hall just because you have someone backing you. Back then, if my Demon Hall hadn't agreed to let your Tianhua Tower develop in the Eastern Continent, would you be where you are today?" The 3 law enforcers sneered. Good, you guys are being unreasonable. Alright. As long as I'm here today, no one can touch the guests of Tianhua Tower." Li Si roared. He had seen the changes in the demonic hall over the years. But as a businessman, he couldn't care less about these things. Who would have thought that they would actually bully the Tianhua Tower now? If they were to swallow their anger, wouldn't the Tianhua Pavilion have to kneel before the Demon Hall in the future in order to survive in the Eastern Continent? You don't overestimate yourself. Although you are the manager here, your strength is not even comparable to an ordinary disciple of my Demon Hall. If you know what's good for you, get lost immediately. Otherwise, even if we kill you now, Yueqing and Yi Miao won't dare to do anything to us." The 3 law enforcers were domineering. Theta Wang Chuan and the other 6 were sneering. How dare these people overestimate themselves and go against the Demon Hall? Aren't they courting death? Wait. But at this moment, Shen Xiaojia hurriedly flew over. Looking at the 3 law enforcers, she said anxiously, "I witnessed everything that happened in Tianhua Tower. It was indeed Theta Wang Chuan and the others who started the trouble first. You guys can't continue to be so unreasonable." "Shen Xiaojia, what are you saying? As a disciple, aren't you a little lacking in manners to say that we, the law enforcers, are being unreasonable?" One of the law enforcers glared at Shen Xiaojia angrily. Wasn't she trying to undermine him? "But I'm telling the truth. If you guys continue to be like this, I can only look for Elder Hua." Shen Xiaojia clenched her fists. "Even if you want to look for Elder Hua, you have to first punish these people who offended our demon hall's prestige. The three law enforcers' eyes turned cold, and their aura surged out. The demon hall is truly awe-inspiring now. Suddenly, a cold voice sounded. Lin Yi stepped into the sky step by step, exuding a bone-chilling cold current. What are you doing? Brother, quickly ask your sister to come down. They are the law enforcers of the demon hall. They have the power to kill all creatures in the eastern continent. We can't afford to offend them. Su Ren and Fang Xian quickly looked at Qin Feiyang and said. It's okay. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. He also stepped into the sky and landed beside Li Si. It's them. Theta Wang Chuan pointed at Qin Feiyang and Li Si. Her eyes were full of murderous intent. Kill yourself, lest we have to take action. The three law enforcers looked at the two and said faintly. Kill myself? Qin Feiyang murmured. He looked at the three and said, as the law enforcers of the demon hall, you have the power to kill all creatures in the eastern continent. Is this how you deal with it impartially? How dare you humiliate the law enforcers? You really haven't died yet. Theta Wang Chuan laughed angrily. Lin Yi's eyes turned cold. She suddenly took a step forward and instantly landed in front of Theta Wang Chuan. What a fast speed, this seems to be. Instant time, the three law enforcers' eyes widened. It turned out to be the supreme profundity of the law of time, instant time. What do you want to do? Theta Wang Chuan panicked and quickly retreated. Lin Yi grabbed Theta Wang Chuan and returned to Qin Feiyang's side in an instant. Let him go. He is the core disciple of my demon hall. No matter who you are, as long as you dare to hurt him, there is no way you can survive today. The three law enforcers regained their senses and quickly shouted. Lin Yi ignored them at all. She raised her hand and slapped Theta Wang Chuan's face. Bitch, Theta Wang Chuan roared. But before he could finish his words, Lin Yi slapped him again. She was extremely strong. His teeth were scattered all over the floor. Awesome. Beating a core disciple in front of the law enforcers. I have never seen such a bold person. Moreover, it's a woman. The people in the city below were all dumbfounded as they watched. This was a complete slap to the face of the demon hall. Preposterous, preposterous, the three law enforcers trembled with anger. The faces of the other 6 disciples turned pale. This woman's means were beyond imagination. Fortunately, they didn't speak before. Otherwise, they would be the ones getting beaten up now. Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 law enforcers and asked, who is the person in charge of your demon hall now? N. The 3 law enforcers looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Say it. Qin Feiyang said. Why should I tell you? Who do you think you are? The 3 law enforcers roared in fear. Although Qin Feiyang had no aura at this moment and looked like an ordinary person, the invisible oppression made it difficult for the 3 to breathe. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a cold light. Li Si looked at Qin Feiyang and whispered, now, the person in charge of the demon hall is the 3 hall masters. 3 hall masters? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Yes. They are the resource hall master, deacon hall master, and law enforcement hall master. Li Si nodded. Law enforcement hall master. Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi looked at each other and asked suspiciously, isn't the law enforcement hall master Elder Hua? Li Si explained, Elder Hua has already given up the position of hall master. The current law enforcement hall master is the former deputy hall master. So that's the case. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked at Shen Xiaojia, and said with a smile, girl, go and invite your 3 hall masters over. Girl? Shen Xiaojia looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. The other party doesn't look old. Why did he call me a girl? Go quickly. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay. Shen Xiaojia nodded. She opened a teleportation altar and walked up. The other party's smile seemed to have an irresistible charm. He even invited the 3 Hall Masters over. What does he want to do? Isn't he afraid that the 3 Hall Masters will come and take his life? Everyone's faces were full of surprise. Fang Xian and Su Ren were also shocked. This brother and sister pair seemed to be more terrifying than they imagined. Stop fighting. I'm begging you. Theta Wang Chuan couldn't bear it anymore. She knelt in the void, looking at Lin Yi and begging. Her face was rotten. Her flesh was badly mutilated. It looked extremely tragic. Trash. Lin Yi smiled disdainfully and slapped her again. Theta Wang Chuan immediately rolled in front of the 3 law enforcers like a dead dog. The other 6 disciples quickly stepped forward to help Theta Wang Chuan up and hid behind the 3 law enforcers. Their faces were full of fear. The 3 law enforcers' faces weren't much better. Their faces were ashen. About 100 breaths. Teleportation altars appeared one after another. That's right. There was more than one teleportation altar. There were at least 50 to 60 altars. Following closely. One by one, figures began to appear. There were more than a dozen people on each altar. 50 to 60 altars meant a total of 600 to 700 people. Except for Shen Xiaojia, the others were all unfamiliar faces. Among them, 3 were the most prominent. All 3 of them were middle-aged. They wore gorgeous costumes with their hands behind their backs. They were like kings descending to the mortal world, exuding a domineering aura. The rest were all wearing the same costumes. Their aura was powerful, and their eyes were sharp. They were all law enforcers of the demonic palace. Moreover, the aura exuded by these law enforcers was stronger than the 3 law enforcers standing in front of Theta Wang Chuan. Obviously. They weren't here to apologize. Why did they bring so many law enforcers? This isn't good. Fang Xian and Su Ren's faces were full of worry. Li Si's pupils couldn't help but shrink. With such a terrifying lineup, it seems that we must ask the 2 house masters to come back to deal with it. However, Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi didn't change their expressions from beginning to end. They looked at the 3 hall masters. Lin Yi was a complete stranger. However, Qin Feiyang more or less had an impression of the 3 of them. Because he often went to the demonic palace in the past. He had occasionally seen these 3 people, but because of the disparity in status, he had never come into contact with them. He didn't even know their names. Lord Hall Masters, you have to uphold justice for this disciple. Look, what did they do to me? Theta Wang Chuan ran in front of the 3 hall masters and complained with grievances. The 3 hall masters glanced at Theta Wang Chuan, who was beyond recognition, and looked up at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi. You guys are too bold to touch my demonic palace's disciple. The person who spoke was the current hall master of the law enforcement hall. Chapter 43-35. I'm beating him because he deserves a beating. Qin Feiyang said calmly. Do you have to look at the owner before beating a dog? Hearing this, the eyes of the Deacon Hall Master and the Resource Hall Master instantly turned cold. Qin Feiyang said, since he's a dog, shouldn't you, the owner, be responsible for him? He's really arrogant. The eyes of the 3 hall masters turned cold. The hundreds of enforcers behind them immediately swarmed forward and surrounded Qin Feiyang and the Deacon Hall Master. Qin Feiyang looked at the surrounding enforcers and could not help but sigh deeply. He turned to look at the 3 hall masters and said disappointedly, I thought that when you guys came, you would deal with this matter impartially. However, it seems that I've been thinking too much. You beat up the disciples of the Demon Hall. Now, we're executing you on the spot. Isn't this dealing with you impartially? The Hall Master of the Law Enforcement Hall sneered. Is this what you mean by impartially? Is this what Elder Hu taught you? Qin Feiyang looked at the hall master. Don't be presumptuous. The hall master of the law enforcement hall was instantly enraged. Sigh. You've betrayed Elder Hua's trust in you. Elder Hua, I gave you the position of the hall master of the law enforcement hall in the hope that you'll be able to protect the safety of the demon hall. However, look at the enforcers under you now. What have they become? And these disciples have been abusing their power outside all day. As managers, you guys actually turned a blind eye to them. That's not right. You're not turning a blind eye to them. You're indulging them and siding with them. Have you ever thought that if this goes on, the demon hall will be destroyed in your hands sooner or later? Qin Feiyang's current mood could only be described with one word: heartache. When the three hall masters heard these words, their eyes were filled with murderous intent. They shouted in unison, "Kill this thief immediately and show the might of the demon hall." Boom! Hundreds of enforcers immediately unleashed a terrifying aura. However, at this moment, an even more terrifying aura surged out. In an instant, it enveloped the entire sky above the city. Anyone who was under this aura was unable to move. This, the three hall masters and the group of enforcers turned pale with fright. Li Si stood beside Qin Feiyang and felt it most vividly. Suddenly, the cultured and refined young man next to him seemed to have turned into a terrifying wild beast, causing people to feel fear and despair. This is his strength. It's indeed beyond our imagination. Below, Su Ren and Fang Xian were also dumbfounded. They knew that this little brother was definitely not simple. After all, even his younger sister was so strong. However, he had never imagined that it would be so terrifying. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Lin Yi and said with a smile, "As a core disciple of the demonic hall, you idle around all day, bully the people, and waste a lot of resources. What should we do with such a person? He deserves to die." Lin Yi spoke coldly. She stepped in front of Theta Wang Chuan and smashed Theta Wang Chuan's head with her palm. His soul was annihilated on the spot. All that was left was a headless corpse floating in the air. It was a ghastly sight. The eyes of the people in the city below trembled. Kill him just like that? As a disciple of the demonic hall, you spend all day in the restaurant, seeking pleasure and indulging in debauchery. What should we do? Qin Feiyang said again. You deserve to die. As the cold words sounded, the other 6 disciples of the demonic hall splattered their blood in the sky one after another. Corpses floated in the air as blood gushed out. The void here had been dyed red with blood. The scene was extremely bloody. The people in the city were all dumbfounded. It was not enough to kill one, but to kill all of them. The siblings were challenging the demonic hall's divine might. Where did their courage and confidence come from? As a law enforcer of the demonic hall, you can't distinguish between right and wrong. What should we do? Qin Feiyang spoke again. This voice was like the sound of the bell of death. The 3 law enforcers who came first were killed on the spot. They even killed law enforcers. Everyone's eyes widened in anger. This was too crazy. The demonic hall's disciples and law enforcers were 2 completely different concepts. If the former was said to be provoking the demonic hall, the latter was equivalent to directly opposing the demonic hall. In the current sky cloud realm, who would go against the demonic hall? Even the Feng people, dragons, and Qilins had to be courteous to the demonic hall. Where did these 2 people come from? After killing so many people, weren't they afraid of the demonic hall's revenge? Helping the tyrant do evil, helping the villain do evil, and not being fair. What should we do? The sound of the bell of death sounded again. At this time, the Cloud Sea city was dead silent. Everyone stared at the woman in white in the sky. She was like the god of death, killing law enforcers one after another. The hundreds of law enforcers brought by the 3 hall masters were all killed in just a short while. Looking at this scene, even the three hall masters couldn't help but shiver. She killed hundreds of law enforcers without even batting an eyelid. What kind of existence did they offend this time? Qin Feiyang glanced at the three hall masters, looked at Lin Yi, and said with a smile, "There's no need to talk about the remaining three. Send them directly to hell and let them repent slowly." "Okay." Lin Yi nodded and took a step towards the three of them. "No, please, we are the hall masters of the demonic hall. If you kill us, Elder Hua and the others won't let you go," the three of them roared in horror. "No. Elder Hua, Chu Yun, and the hall masters will thank me for helping them clean up the mess." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "You," the three of them roared unwillingly. But there was no room for maneuver, and they died on the spot. With the death of the three hall masters, everyone present felt like they were struck by a bolt from the blue, and their minds were rumbling. Not to mention killing the disciples and law enforcers, but also killing the three hall masters. One must know. These three hall masters had a pivotal position in the demonic hall. Killing them would definitely cause the demonic hall to hunt them down. Why are you so stupid? Aren't you courting death? You can kill the disciples of the demonic hall, law enforcers, and the three hall masters. But can you kill the three overlords and 10 elders of the demonic hall? When these overlords come out of seclusion, where can you hide? There's no place for you in the entire sky cloud realm. Su Ren and Fang Xian were burning with anxiety. Why were you so impulsive? The wicked will be dealt with by the wicked. Why are you trying to show off? Shen Xiaojia and Li Si were stunned as well. Never had they imagined that the outcome would be like this. They'd thought that Qin Feiyang had sent the three hall masters to Ocean of Cloud City to resolve the enmity between them and avoid being hunted down by the demonic hall. But never had they imagined that he'd actually intended to kill them. Now, they'd really caused a huge mess. No one could save this pair of brother and sister. Do you think it's over just like that? Qin Feiyang muttered to himself as he glanced at the corpses floating in midair, and then a cold glow suddenly flashed through his eyes. A moment later, one figure after another appeared in front of him. "Greetings, young master." It was Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, and the other commanders of the Dark Guard who led the group. The 6,000 Dark Guards stood in an orderly manner behind them. Purge the demonic hall. Regardless of whether they're disciples of the demonic hall, law enforcers, or enforcement elders of the demonic hall, kill all of them without mercy. Besides that, the Independent Cultivator Alliance, Sky Hall, and Divine Hall will do the same. Clean up this trash for me. Qin Feiyang spoke. Even though the Independent Cultivator Alliance, Divine Hall, and Sky Hall had a good reputation, there were definitely some people like that amongst them. Yes. Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, and the other commanders bowed in response, and then they immediately led the 6,000 Dark Guards and vanished towards all directions while emanating a terrifying aura of slaughter. A merciless slaughter unfolded just like that. At the same time, Shen Xiaojia, Li Si, and many others in the city below were staring at the backs of Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, and the others. Don't all of you think that they look very familiar? They do. They seem to be. Wait. They're Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan. The others seem to be former Dark Guards of the Blood Hall as well. But didn't they follow Qin Feiyang and the others to the Divine Kingdom? Why would they be here in Sky Cloud Dimension now? Could it be? In an instant, the gazes of everyone converged onto Qin Feiyang. Their eyes contained bewilderment, awe, surprise, expectation, and anxiety. In such a huge city, there was no sound at all at this moment. Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi looked at each other and glanced at the people in the city below. Lin Yi smiled and said, "Brother Feiyang, it seems that your identity can't be hidden anymore. When I asked Old Pei and Old Wang to come out, I already expected this outcome." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Then you, Lin Yi asked. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and opened a space-time tunnel. He looked at Shen Xiaojia and smiled, "Girl, go back and ask Elder Hua and the others to come to Sky Cloud Island." After speaking, without waiting for Shen Xiaojia to recover, he raised his arm and grabbed in the air. Fang Xian and Su Ren below immediately rose into the air uncontrollably and then disappeared into the space-time tunnel together. Qin Dage, at this time. Shen Xiaojia finally regained her senses and hurriedly shouted, "Are you really Big Brother Qin?" "Yes. I'm back. At that time, come to Sky Cloud Island with Elder Hua and the others." Qin Feiyang's voice came out from the space-time tunnel. "It's really Qin Dage." Shen Xiaojia looked at the dissipating space-time tunnel, and her eyes gradually filled with a mist. After so many years, this familiar person finally came back. "I have to hurry and tell Brother Dezhuang." When she recovered, Shen Xiaojia immediately opened a teleportation altar. Regardless of the corpses of the three palace masters, she ran up without looking back. Chapter 43-36. The scene was still dead silent. It wasn't until Shen Xiaojia left for a while that Li Si finally reacted. "He is Qin Feiyang, the guardian of our Sky Cloud realm. He has returned from the Divine Kingdom. No wonder he knows my origin, no wonder he dares to call the two Tower Lords by their names." So it's him." The initial murmurs turned into laughter. He even cried tears of joy. Similarly, Li Si's laughter also woke up the people in the city below. "Is it really Qin Feiyang? Am I dreaming?" "Brother, you're not dreaming. He just admitted it himself and asked the big shots of the Demon Palace to immediately go to Sky Cloud Island to see him. I was wondering who had the guts to kill the disciples of the Demon Palace, the law enforcers, and the three Hall Masters. So it's him. As expected of him, he can't accept any sand in his eyes. Those arrogant fellows of the Demon Palace are finished." Everyone was extremely excited. Who did the Demon Palace rely on to have today? Wasn't it Qin Feiyang, Madman Mo, and Golden-Winged Wolf King? If it weren't for these three lords, the Demon Palace would have been destroyed by the three major races. No. Not to mention the three major races, the Blood Hall back then was enough to destroy the Demon Palace. Because back then, the Alliance Master of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and the Divine Python couple were kidnapped by the Blood Demon. If the Blood Hall and the Vice Alliance Master's plot had succeeded, the Demon Palace would have disappeared from the Eastern continent long ago. Moreover, Qin Feiyang, Golden-Winged Wolf King, and Madman Mo were now the honorary Hall Masters of the Demon Palace. Just their status in the Demon Palace was equivalent to that of the Demon Palace's Hall Master. Just with this identity, he had the absolute strength to kill the three Hall Masters of the Law Enforcement Hall, the Deacon Hall, and the Resource Hall, not to mention a group of law enforcers and disciples. Theta Wang Chuan and the others are really blind. They actually provoked this person. If they don't die, it would be a waste of their stupidity. Look, who dares to be arrogant now? That's right. These scum of the Demon Royal Halls should have been dealt with long ago. Otherwise, do they really think that they can soar to the heavens? I can already predict that our eastern continent will soon return to an era of peace. Qin Feiyang is truly a great man. The crowd shouted. It was as if he had found a spiritual pillar. This was Qin Feiyang's current status in the Sky Cloud realm. The world revered and worshipped him. Very soon, the news of Qin Feiyang's return spread across the continents. This was like an unstoppable storm that swept through the entire Sky Cloud realm. Qin Feiyang. Grandpa, is the person they are talking about Qin Feiyang who destroyed the Blood Hall, supported the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and the Devil Hall, and suppressed the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan? Southern Continent. On a certain street, a 7- or 8-year-old boy asked innocently as he looked at an old man with teary eyes. Child, it's not just that. Back then, when the experts of the Divine Kingdom came, if it wasn't for this Lord Qin who led Madman Mo and the Golden-Winged Wolf King to fight at the front line, our Sky Cloud realm would have been destroyed by the Divine Kingdom. The old man rubbed the little boy's head and laughed hoarsely. Is it that powerful? The little boy didn't believe it. Child, you are very lucky and happy because you were born in this era of peace and didn't experience the difficulties back then. Back then, if it weren't for these lords who fought against the experts of the Divine Kingdom, I'm afraid we would still be uprooted from our homeland. The old man sighed. Are you talking about the Nether King's hell? The little boy asked. That's right. Back then, when the Divine Kingdom invaded our Sky Cloud realm, we were forced to leave our homeland and enter the Nether King's hell. Although it wasn't a long time ago, it was a painful memory that every living being would never be able to forget. Because during that time, everyone was filled with despair. Child, you can't understand this kind of experience. In the end, it was Qin Feiyang and the other lords who bravely stood up and brought us hope, rebirth, and brought us back to our homeland. The old man laughed. The tears in her eyes fell down uncontrollably. The little boy looked at the sky with an innocent and bright smile on his face. Grandpa, your grandson will definitely become a great figure like them in the future. No. Most of the so-called big shots are selfish people, Lin Feng said. You have to learn from these lords' breadth of mind, responsibility, and responsibility. You have to protect the Sky Cloud realm and the people of the world as your own responsibility. Only in this way will you be respected, understand? The old man lectured. I understand. The little boy nodded. The old man nodded with a gratified smile. He looked up at the sky and said with a smile, it's good that they came back from the Divine Kingdom alive. I hope the heavens will always care for them because they are truly good people. A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. The return of Qin Feiyang and the others could be said to be shocking. The Sky Cloud realm, which had been peaceful for a long time, suddenly became lively. Even many people couldn't control their inner worship and admiration. Regardless of the obstruction of the Sea Beast clan, they frantically rushed into the Sky Cloud Sea. Sky Cloud Island. At the edge of the cliff. Inside the pavilion. Why did you come back so soon? And, who are they? Demon Ancestor, Feather Emperor, and the little rabbit looked at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi suspiciously, as well as Su Ren and Fang Xian standing next to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi had restored their true appearances. At this moment, Su Ren and Fang Xian felt like they were living in a dream. It's really Qin Feiyang. It's exactly the same as described in the legend. There are also Blood Ancestor, Feather Emperor, and the Little Rabbit. These are all famous great figures in the Sky Cloud realm. Usually, they could only listen to the legends of these people, but they didn't expect that at this moment, they could see the demeanor of these great figures so closely. And this is still Sky Cloud Island. As everyone knows, Sky Cloud Island is the holy land of the Sky Cloud Sea. Not everyone can set foot on it. Qin Feiyang sat on the stone bench, picked up the teacup, and shook his head. I have some troubles. I'm not in the mood to continue strolling. Troubles? The three were taken aback. Qin Feiyang took a sip of tea, looked up at the three, and said unhappily, why didn't you tell me about the situation of the Demon Palace? Don't tell me you don't know. It turns out to be because of the Demon Palace. Isn't this just a trivial matter? The little rabbit waved her hand indifferently. Trivial matter. Qin Feiyang's face turned black. You have to understand a truth, the peak of prosperity must decline. No matter how glorious the forces were, there will be a day of decline. The little rabbit said. But the Demon Palace doesn't seem to have been glorious for long. Qin Feiyang was speechless. But you can't manage the Demon Palace for the rest of your life. For example, your children in the future, they have to learn to be independent sooner or later. The little rabbit waved its paws with a very indifferent expression. Because in this life, it had seen too many forces rise and fall, so it was already indifferent. All right, I admit defeat. I can't win against you. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly, looked at Su Ren and Fang Xian, and said with a smile, "Brothers, come and sit." Huh? The two of them panicked. Sit. Don't joke. You are all so powerful, how can we dare to be on equal footing with you? Su Ren hurriedly bowed and said, "Sir, we didn't recognize you previously and even called you brothers. If we have offended you, please don't take it to heart." Qin Feiyang was helpless. Indeed, once his identity was exposed, there was no way to chat normally. "Kid, who are they?" The blood ancestor looked at the two of them suspiciously. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Fang Xian, Su Ren, we met by chance at Tianyue building." Met by chance. The blood ancestor and the other two were stunned. Wasn't it the first time they met? The first time they met, he brought them to Sky Cloud Island. What the hell was this kid doing? Previously, they thought that they were friends that Qin Feiyang had met in the Sky Cloud realm. Qin Feiyang was about to speak. Buzz. At this moment, a space-time passage appeared. A middle-aged man quickly ran out. It was He Zhongtian. Is this the temple master of the temple? Su Ren and Fang Xian were shocked. He Zhongtian looked at Qin Feiyang sitting in the pavilion, and a trace of joy crept into his eyes. He hurriedly flew into the pavilion and knelt down on one knee. Subordinate He Zhongtian greets the young master. He actually knelt down. Su Ren and Fang Xian were shocked. Logically speaking, Qin Feiyang was the honorary temple master of the temple, and He Zhongtian, as the temple master of the temple, had the same status as Qin Feiyang. But now, not only did he kneel down, but he also called himself a subordinate. It seemed that some of the rumors were not groundless. Lord Qin was the honorary temple master of the three major forces, but in fact, his status was above that of the major forces. Get up. Do you want to shorten my lifespan by giving me such a big bow? Qin Feiyang looked at He Zhongtian with dissatisfaction. He Zhongtian stood up and scratched his head. As a dignified overlord, he actually acted charmingly naive. If outsiders saw this, they would definitely be surprised. Buzz. Another space-time passage appeared. A beautiful woman in colorful clothes led two middle-aged men out. They were the three major forces of the Sky Palace. As soon as the three major forces arrived, they immediately entered the pavilion and knelt down to pay their respects. What the? Fang Xian and Fang Xian were dumbfounded. If they did not see it with their own eyes, who would dare to believe this scene? All these years, have you been well? Qin Feiyang looked at He Zhongtian and the three major forces of the Sky Palace and smiled. Under your protection, we have been well. He Zhongtian nodded and asked, what about you? What he said was true. If it were not for Qin Feiyang, the mad scientist, and the white-eyed wolf, the four major forces were nothing in front of the Foam people, the dragons, and the Kirins. We have been well too. Qin Feiyang smiled. Buzz. At this moment, another space-time passage appeared. Several figures walked out one after another. The Alliance Master, the Deputy Alliance Master, the Hall of the Exalted Hall Master, Yi Tian, Zhao Xiaojin, the Shen Mang couple, the Fire Dragon, and the Black Dragon and Fire One who were entrusted by Qin Feiyang to oversee the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. This, Su Ren and Fang Xian looked at these people and could not help but gulp. Needless to say, the Alliance Master was an important figure who was respected by tens of thousands of people wherever he went. As for Yi Tian, Zhao Xiaojin, and the Fire Dragon, they were like the sun in the sky in the western mainland these years. This was because they had opened the door of potential and also obtained the law miniature. Moreover, they had a time array that lasted 5,000 years. In addition, they were originally talented, so their strength had improved a lot over the years. Even their reputation in the sky cloud realm had caught up with the Feng people, the dragons, and the geniuses of the Kirins. So, many people of the younger generation knew them. Chapter 43-37. Qin Dage, Good Disciple. Good brother, a group of people appeared and ran into the pavilion. They looked at Qin Feiyang with smiles on their faces. Qin Feiyang also quickly got up. Looking at these faces that he hadn't seen in a long time, his eyes couldn't help but moisten. Because everyone here had an inseparable relationship with him. He loved Xiao Xiaojin like a sister. Yi Tian, Fire Dragon, Black Dragon, Fire Wan, and the others were like brothers to him. The vice leader was his teacher. The alliance leader, the Hall of Famers, and the Fire Python couple were all elders that he respected. These were Qin Feiyang's family. Brother, there's no need to say anything else. Just come back alive. Black Dragon transformed into his human form and turned into a coarse man. He stepped forward and gave Qin Feiyang a big bear hug. Thank you, Brother Black Dragon. Qin Feiyang wiped away his tears. No matter how much time had passed, everyone's feelings for him would not fade. Is third brother that popular? Little Rabbit muttered and looked at Qin Feiyang. Fire Dragon bared his teeth and said, Uncle Rabbit, are you jealous? Or envious? Get lost. Little Rabbit glared at him. Qin Feiyang looked at the alliance leader and the others and asked, where are senior brother and Xiao Xian? They're accompanying Zhua Tiansheng, Lu Jingyuan, and Elder Yu. The alliance leader smiled. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. His future father-in-law indeed needed to be accompanied. Buzz. Another space-time tunnel appeared. The blood ancestor looked up and said with a smile, it seems that there won't be enough people here today. Now that the news of Qin Feiyang and the others' return had spread, their former friends and old friends would definitely come to Sky Cloud Island one after another. This is Uncle Rabbit's territory. When did it become a place for him to meet his friends? He doesn't treat himself as an outsider. Little Rabbit complained unhappily. We're not outsiders to begin with. Feather Emperor chuckled. As the space-time tunnel opened, two familiar figures entered his sight. They were none other than Qi Xiaoyun and the white-bearded old man. He seems to be, Su Ren and Fang Xian looked at Qi Xiaoyun in surprise. Brother Qin. Qi Xiaoyun laughed heartily as he walked over with his arms wide open. Brother Qi, how have you been? Qin Feiyang also went up to him with a smile, and the two men hugged each other. Of course. Of course, they would stop when it was appropriate. Otherwise, people would think that they were gay. It really is the young patriarch of the Qilin clan, Qi Xiaoyun. It is said that this person is the future master of the Kirin. Right now, the various large clans of the Qilin clan are all led by him. Fang Xian and the other man mumbled. This was too shocking. However, at this moment, another space-time tunnel. A gentle and refined middle-aged man walked out with a young man with an extraordinary bearing. Greetings, uncle. As soon as the middle-aged man appeared, Qin Feiyang immediately stepped forward and bowed. This was because this person was Huo Wenchang, Huo Wu's father. You still know to come back. I thought you had died in the Divine Kingdom. Huo Wenchang looked at Qin Feiyang with tears in his eyes. Father, what time is it now? Why are you still saying such inauspicious things? The young man beside him looked at Huo Wenchang speechlessly. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Qin Dage, long time no see. You seem to have become more handsome. Is that so? You have a good eye. Qin Feiyang chuckled. This young man was Hua Feng's younger brother, Pyrotechnic Glow. He was a young man who liked to drink. Right? I am the one with the best eye. Big brother, We haven't seen each other for so many years. Shouldn't you prepare a gift for me? Pyrotechnic Glow grinned. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned and said, go find your brother-in-law. Brother-in-law? Brother-in-law is back too. Why don't I see him? Pyrotechnic Glow was slightly taken aback. He quickly looked around and didn't see anyone. This, Qin Feiyang glanced at the blood ancestor. The blood ancestor couldn't help but stare at the mention of the white-eyed wolf. What's wrong? Pyrotechnic Glow was suspicious. Nothing. Qin Feiyang shook his head and waved his hand. Huo Wu and Li Feng appeared. Father. Old man. The two immediately ran to Huo Wenchang and the blood ancestor. What old man? Do you want to be beaten up? The blood ancestor's face darkened. Hee, with your old bones, I'm afraid you won't be able to beat me now. Li Feng grinned. The blood ancestor's mouth twitched. He looked at Li Feng and patted his shoulder. Not bad, as expected of my disciple. Of course. Li Feng smiled proudly. At the same time, Huo Wenchang, and Huo Wu were also constantly asking about their well-being. After all, they had been separated for so many years. And they had gone to the Divine Kingdom. They must have a lot to say. Fang Xian and Su Ren were already numb. Not only the Kirin clan, but even the Feng people had come. As expected of Qin Feiyang. As soon as the news of his return spread, it attracted guests from all directions. Buzz. Soon. A space-time passage appeared again. The two looked up. Could it be the dragons? In fact, they didn't know that the dragons wouldn't come because Long Chen and Long Qin had already returned to the dragon nest. However, Qin Feiyang knew very well in his heart that it must be Elder Hua and the others. He also looked up at the space-time passage. Sure enough. The first to run out was Shen Xiaojia and Shen Dezhuang. As soon as the two came out, they saw so many people, and they were all overlords of the Sky Cloud realm. They couldn't help but be stunned. Then, they suppressed their excitement and stepped forward to bow to each of them. The giants were naturally no stranger to Shen Xiaojia and Shen Dezhuang. Furthermore, they were full of praises for their talents. Of course. Everyone knew that whether it was Shen Xiaojia or the others in the Shen family village, it was all because of Qin Feiyang that they could have today. After bowing to the giants, the two ran to Qin Feiyang. They were so excited that they couldn't speak. Especially Shen Dezhuang. Because Qin Feiyang not only changed the fate of the Shen family village, but also extended the life of his grandfather, Shen Mulan. Otherwise, Shen Mulan would have turned into a pile of yellow soil. Therefore, he not only respected Qin Feiyang, but also felt grateful. Just the two of you? Qin Feiyang asked. Just us for the time being. Shen Xiaojia nodded. What about Elder Hua and the others? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. They. Shen Xiaojia hesitated and sighed. After they came out of seclusion, they found it hard to imagine the current situation in the Devil Palace, so they personally went to investigate. I see. Qin Feiyang was enlightened. Naturally, there was no need to doubt Elder Hua, Chu Yun, and the Devil Palace's Hall Master. After all, their contributions to the Devil Palace and their sense of responsibility were obvious to all. One could only say that they had trusted the wrong person this time, handing such a heavy responsibility to the three Hall Masters. There were too many people, and the pavilion could no longer accommodate them. Everyone gathered on the flat ground at the top of the mountain and sat in a circle. Fang Xian and Su Ren sat silently at the side, not even daring to breathe loudly. Qi Xiaoyun smiled and said, Brother Qin, you've caused such a huge commotion the moment you returned. This is really in line with your character. Do you think I want to do that? Ask Big Brother, the ancestor, and the ancestor. Didn't I tell them not to leak the news of our return? I didn't want to cause such a commotion. But there's no other way. It's hard not to be angry at the actions of the Devil Palace's disciples. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. The Devil Palace has been too arrogant in recent years. Qi Xiaoyun smiled. The others nodded silently. Qin Feiyang said helplessly, then why did you all just sit back and do nothing? Do we dare to do anything? The Devil Palace is backed by you. Huo Wenchang chuckled. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. This reason was really irrefutable. Whoosh! At this time, another space-time tunnel appeared. A group of people filed out. They thought it would be Elder Hua and the others, but it turned out to be the 4 guardian beasts, the Sea Lion Emperor, and the other beast emperors. How could this be? Everyone stood up one after another to welcome them. And the ones to welcome them were naturally the 4 guardian beasts. The 4 guardian beasts had not only guarded the Sky Cloud realm for many years, but they were also the teachers of the Human Emperor and the Feather Emperor. Therefore, their status in the Sky Cloud realm was not to be underestimated. You're back. The young man smiled hoarsely, looking at Qin Feiyang with a kind gaze. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, I'm sorry to have made the 4 seniors worry. Who asked us to be so useless? We can only worry silently in the Sky Cloud realm. Vermilion Bird shook her head and sighed. Look at what you're saying. In the past, if it weren't for the 4 of you selflessly guarding this land, how could there be today's Sky Cloud realm? And there wouldn't be a stage for us juniors to show our talents. Qin Feiyang smiled. No one could erase the dedication of the 4 guardian beasts to the Sky Cloud realm. No one was qualified to judge them. You brat, your mouth is as sweet as honey. Let's sit down and talk. Don't just stand there. Azure Dragon chuckled. Qin Feiyang looked at this happy scene with a smile on his face. Then, he turned to look at the Sea Lion Emperor and the other beast emperors. He chuckled and said, Seniors, have you finished the wine I gave you? Ah. The group of beast emperors looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. As soon as they met, he asked them if they had finished the wine. Could it be that in this kid's eyes, they were all drunkards? Qin Feiyang whispered, this time, when I came back from the Divine Kingdom, I brought back a lot of divine wine, and even a lot of top-grade divine wine. Really? The beast emperor's eyes lit up. Some of the beast emperors were even drooling. Qin Feiyang said, but they're all in Big Brother's hands. What? You gave them all to him? Then what are you saying now? It's not like you don't know that damn rabbit's character. Other things are fine, but divine wine, once it falls into his hands, can we still snatch it? The group of beast emperors looked at Qin Feiyang with resentment. Such a good thing, and you only think of your big brother, too heartless. Haha, that depends on your ability. Qin Feiyang laughed, walked to the side of Feather Emperor, sat down, and chatted with everyone. The Sea Lion Emperor and the other beast emperors walked over and stared at the little rabbit. At this moment, the fearless little rabbit couldn't help but feel her scalp tingle. Chapter 43-38. The time spent together was very happy. Especially the friends who had gone through life and death together. However, no matter who it was, Qin Feiyang never mentioned the Divine Kingdom to anyone. Because this pressure and responsibility could be shouldered by him, the mad scientist, and the others. There was no need to drag others into it. Time passed quietly. About an hour passed. Buzz. Along with a space-time tunnel, Elder Hua, Chu Yun, and the Demon Hall Master finally arrived. Looking at the group of people sitting on the mountain peak, the 3 of them were both happy and sad. They were happy that Qin Feiyang and the others had returned alive. This was because they treated Qin Feiyang, the mad scientist, and the white-eyed wolf as their own juniors. Although they had been in seclusion all these years, they often thought of Qin Feiyang and the others who were fighting in the Divine Kingdom. They wondered if they were in danger. Were they doing well? They put down the matters of the demon hall and cultivated in seclusion with all their might. They wanted to become stronger so that they could help Qin Feiyang and the others share some of the pressure in the future. They were sad because they had worked so hard to lead the demon hall to an unprecedented peak in glory, but now, they had become like this. Although it was not their fault, they were also responsible. This was because they had personally handed over the management of the demon hall to the 3 hall masters. At this moment, they felt very guilty. The demon hall was able to achieve its current status because of Qin Feiyang and the others. But now, they had let down Qin Feiyang and the others. They could understand Qin Feiyang's current feelings. He must be very disappointed. Qin Feiyang stood up and greeted them with a smile. Elder Hua, Hall Master, Miss Chu Yun, long time no see. The 3 of them looked at each other and lowered their heads. They were a little embarrassed. Qin Feiyang comforted them. The 3 of you don't have to be like this. This has nothing to do with you. Don't comfort us. Elder Hua raised his head and looked at the Alliance Master, He Zhongtian, the Sky Palace Hall Master, and the other big shots on the mountain peak. He sighed and said, "We are all managing a continent, but compared to them, we are really ashamed." In the past hour, they had not only investigated the current situation of the Devil Hall, but also the current situation of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, Sky Hall, and Deities Hall. Compared to the current Rogue Cultivator Alliance, Sky Hall, and Deity Hall, their Demon Hall was simply too inferior. Although the ones at fault are the 3 Palace Masters, we can't escape the responsibility either. We shouldn't have gone into seclusion and should have come out occasionally to supervise. Chu Yun sighed, her face full of self-blame. It could be said that as the Vice Hall Master, she was more upset than anyone else that the demonic hall had fallen to such a state. This was because she had always treated the demonic palace as her home. Indeed. When she was very young, she had already entered the Devil Hall and had always lived there. The Devil Hall had long become an inseparable part of her life. With this lesson, I'll pay more attention in the future. Come on, let's sit down and talk. Moreover, I even selected 2 promising geniuses for the Devil Hall during this trip to the city. Qin Feiyang smiled. Promising geniuses? The 3 of them were stunned. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. He's not talking about us, right? Fang Xian and Su Ren exchanged glances, and they couldn't help but feel slight anticipation and nervousness in their hearts. Elder Hua gazed at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Are you really not angry?" "I'm angry. After all, I have feelings for the Devil Hall as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked Old Pei and Old Wang to lead 6,000 shadow guards to clean up the Devil Hall. However, I'm not someone who can't differentiate right from wrong. Moreover, this isn't something that all of you want to see happen. Because all of you definitely want the Devil Hall to become better and better. But in the future, all of you really have to keep your eyes open and hand over the authority in your hands to someone you can truly trust." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Thank you." Elder Hua and the others gazed at Qin Feiyang with gratitude. With this sentence, their nervous hearts could be calmed down. Frankly speaking, now that they were facing Qin Feiyang, they still felt a lot of pressure. This was because the current Qin Feiyang, be it in terms of strength or status, was no longer the young man from back then. It was no exaggeration to say that. Now, Qin Feiyang could destroy a force with just a casual word. "Old friend, don't blame yourself. Just be more careful next time." The Alliance Master looked at Elder Hua who was walking over and chuckled. "How can I let you see such a big joke?" Elder Hua pursed his lips. Haha, the Alliance Master couldn't help but laugh. Elder Hua glared at the Alliance Master and scanned the surroundings. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked suspiciously, "Where are the few of them?" "Senior brother and Xiao Xian are in the western mainland. Long Chen and Long Qin have already returned to the dragon nest. As for the white-eyed wolf, I don't know where he went. Don't bother about him. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. Elder Hua said, so, all of you returned this time? Yes. Qin Feiyang smiled. Good. Elder Hua nodded happily. Nothing could make him happier than this. Chu Yun asked, then, the Divine Kingdom now? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, let's not talk about the Divine Kingdom. It's rare for us to get together, so let's talk about our daily lives. Chu Yun's expression froze. These words could be said to have a deeper meaning. The others could not help but look at each other. It seemed that the Divine Kingdom's matter was not over yet. Brothers, come here. Qin Feiyang waved at Fang Xian and Su Ren. The two of them looked at each other, immediately got up, and walked to Qin Feiyang's side. Qin Feiyang looked at Elder Hua and smiled. The two talents I mentioned just now are them. One of them is called Fang Xian, and the other is called Su Ren. Not only Elder Hua, but the others also looked at Su Ren and Fang Xian. They knew Qin Feiyang too well. Those who could be valued by Qin Feiyang were definitely not bad. I met them in Tianyue Tower before. I've tested their character, and they're quite good. They originally planned to go to the Rogue Cultivators Alliance in the Western Continent, but I think the Demonic Palace needs talents like them now, so I'll hand them over to you now. Qin Feiyang looked at Elder Hua and smiled. So, they're going to the Rogue Cultivators Alliance. The Alliance Master, Deputy Alliance Master, and Hall Master of the Hall of the Exalted were stunned. When they came back to their senses, the Deputy Alliance Master immediately glared at Qin Feiyang and scolded, "Brat, you're poaching our people." Absolutely not. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Master, they're originally from the Eastern Continent. It's because the Demonic Palace has been overbearing these years that they can't stand their behavior, so they're going to the Rogue Cultivators Alliance." Then let them go. What do you mean by intercepting them halfway? This water has to be balanced. The Hall of the Exalted Hall Master also glared at Qin Feiyang with dissatisfaction. Since Qin Feiyang thought highly of them and even personally determined that the two of them were moldable talents, they would definitely have great achievements in the future. They couldn't just hand over such talents to the Demonic Palace. Hey. What's wrong with you? Are there no talents in the Western Continent? Why do you have to come to our Eastern Continent to snatch them? Elder Hua glared at the two of them. Talents don't discriminate between countries. Besides, the Demonic Palace has only yourselves to blame. The Alliance Master finally spoke. Since they're talents, how can we let the Demonic Palace get them so easily? Hearing this, Elder Hua glared at the Alliance Master angrily, but he couldn't refute. That was because it was the truth. According to their previous investigation, the Demonic Palace had indeed lost many talents over the years, and those talents had all gone to the Rogue Cultivators Alliance, the Temple of Gods, and the Heavenly Palace. We're all old friends, so why do you have to fight? Why don't you let them go to the Temple of Gods, lest the Demonic Palace and the Rogue Cultivators Alliance get into a fight and hurt our friendship? He Zhongtian chuckled. Then shouldn't we thank you? The leaders of the Demonic Palace and the Rogue Cultivators Alliance glared at He Zhongtian. We're all on the same side. Don't be so polite. He Zhongtian also looked like a dead pig that wasn't afraid of boiling water. The leaders rolled their eyes. Actually, the Heavenly Palace is also very good. The Temple Master of the Heavenly Palace suddenly spoke. Everyone was stunned. Especially Su Ren and Fang Xian, they looked at each other. They were two ordinary people, but they didn't expect that they would become the hot cakes that the four major forces were fighting over. Was this Qin Feiyang's current status in the Sky Cloud realm? As long as he took a fancy to someone, even if it was a mediocre person, they could defy the heavens and change their fate, becoming a dragon among men in one fell swoop. It really opened their eyes. They finally understood why Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi would say those inexplicable words in the heavenly joy building. It turned out that Qin Feiyang had already taken a fancy to them since then. What did they do to deserve this? How could this supreme existence take a fancy to them? Aren't they just two little guys? What's there to fight about? Let them choose for themselves. They can go wherever they want. Little Rabbit waved her hand impatiently. That's right. Although we are strong, we can't control the choice and fate of others. Feather Emperor chuckled. All right. The Deputy Alliance Master nodded and looked at Su Ren and Fang Xian. Think about it yourselves. Do you want to go to the Demonic Palace, the Rogue Cultivators Alliance, or the Heavenly Palace or the Temple of Gods? The two of them glanced at the group of leaders and were silent for a long time. Suddenly, they looked at each other at the same time with a trace of determination in their eyes. Thank you, seniors, for your appreciation. As Lord Qin said before, we are from the Eastern Continent. Our families and friends are all in the Eastern Continent. If the Demonic Palace can really return to its former glory in the future, our first choice will definitely be the Demonic Palace. The two of them bowed and said. Hearing this, the leaders of the Rogue Cultivators Alliance, Heavenly Palace, and Temple of Gods couldn't help but be disappointed. Elder Hua, Chu Yun, and the Demonic Palace Master revealed a trace of joy. Don't worry. This old man promises that such a thing won't happen in the Demonic Palace in the future. Elder Hua said in a deep voice. Chu Yun and the Demonic Palace Master nodded. After this lesson, they didn't dare to be careless. This was because no matter what faction it was, only by treating their people well and leaving a good reputation would they be able to go further. The Demonic Palace had existed for so many years. They couldn't allow it to be destroyed in their hands. Since Senior Hua has personally guaranteed it, then us brothers will choose the Demonic Palace. The two of them looked at each other and knelt on the ground at the same time. Disciples Su Ren and Fang Xian greet the Palace Master, Deputy Palace Master, and Senior Hua. Good, good, good. Elder Hua was very pleased. He personally helped the two of them up and looked at Shen Xiaojia and Shen Dezhuang. He said with a hoarse voice, Xiaojia, Dezhuang, from now on, the two of you will lead them and teach them how to cultivate. Take good care of these two junior brothers. All right. Shen Xiaojia and Shen Dezhuang nodded. Qin Feiyang looked at Shen Dezhuang in surprise and asked, Dezhuang, you're in the Demonic Palace too? Shen Dezhuang scratched his head and said with a silly smile, I wanted to go to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, but grandfather insisted that I come to the Demonic Palace to take care of Xiaojia. I see. Is your grandfather doing well? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Good. Grandfather has suddenly become a battle god and is very motivated. He's preparing to break through to the Divine Lord realm. Moreover, he often talks about you. Shen Dezhuang nodded. With his current condition, he won't have any problem breaking through to the Divine Lord realm, let alone the Divine Lord realm. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Divine Lord realm? Shen Dezhuang was stunned. He laughed dryly and said, I'm afraid it'll be a little difficult. Are you looking down on your grandfather? I've never heard of him. Old but vigorous. Qin Feiyang laughed and then glanced at everyone in front of him. He said with a smile, seeing that all of you are doing well, I'm relieved. This time, he returned to give the inheritance of the ultimate profound to improve the overall strength of the Sky Cloud realm. Secondly, he wanted to see how these old friends were doing. And now, it seemed that everyone was doing well. Chapter 43-39. Soon. Two more people came to Sky Cloud Island. They were Yuqing and Yi Miao. To them, Qin Feiyang and the others were not only their friends, but also their benefactors. Because, without the support and care of Qin Feiyang and the others, Sky Joy Building would not be able to reach its current status. It could be said that, Everything they had now was all thanks to Qin Feiyang and the others. For an entire day and night, everyone sat together on the mountain peak, laughing and chatting as if they had endless things to say. In the blink of an eye, the sky turned white. The sun rose slowly. Buzz. As the space-time passageways appeared, Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, and the other Dark Guard commanders led 6,000 Dark Guards back. Every single one of them was emitting a bloody aura. Over the past day and night, countless people had died in their hands. Especially the people from the Demon Hall, almost 1/3 of them were killed. This was a terrifying number. This was because there were probably more than 10 million disciples in the current Demon Hall. 1/3 of them meant 3 to 4 million people. 3 to 4 million, hearing this number, Elder Hua, Chu Yun, and the Demon Hall Master were all heartbroken. They had only been in seclusion for a few years and the Demon Hall had already become so corrupt. It was really a profound lesson. At the same time, Pei Tianhong and the others' methods also shocked everyone present. In just one day and night, they had eliminated the 4 major forces. Such efficiency and methods simply made one's scalp tingle. Needless to say, the other creatures in the sky cloud realm naturally did not need to be mentioned. In their eyes, these Dark Guards were like the Grim Reaper. Last night, I saw with my own eyes that more than a dozen Dark Guards appeared in East Sea City. Their strength is too terrifying. There were dozens of enforcers in the Demon Hall. Facing them, they were completely like little chicks. They had no power to fight back and were killed on the spot. Yesterday in the Western Land, I also saw 2 Dark Guards. With a wave of their hands, they wiped out more than a dozen Rogue Cultivator Alliance disciples who were abusing their power. Everyone was discussing. Qin Feiyang's actions were simply inspiring. On the other hand, the people from the 4 major forces were terrified and uneasy. They were afraid that they would be targeted by the secret guards. The purge this time had also thoroughly intimidated some of the people from the 4 major forces who had been hoping for a fluke and harbored evil intentions. In the meantime, the rich and powerful families of the 4 continents were also deeply shocked by this bloody method. Although this time, Qin Feiyang was only cleaning up the scum of the 4 great forces, it was undoubtedly a warning to the rich and powerful families. Today, I can purge the scum of the 4 major powers, and in the future, I can also purge you rich kids from rich families. Therefore, regardless of whether it was the rich and powerful clans or the small clans, all of them immediately called back their clansmen and gave them a profound education overnight. In the future, when they walked in the sky cloud realm, they must not cause trouble and bully others. In fact, they had even included this rule in their clan. Because no one dared to offend Qin Feiyang. Once he was enraged, it would be a disaster. Sky Cloud Island. Qin Feiyang sent Pei Tianhong and the others to the Black Tortoise realm, then looked at the big shots of the 4 major forces and said with a smile, "You won't blame me for taking the initiative to help you clean up the sect, right? Stinking brat, are you deliberately mocking us?" The group of big shots was speechless. It was their negligence that so many scum appeared below. Now that he deliberately asked this question, wasn't it clearly embarrassing them? Regarding this result, the Alliance Master, He Zhongtian, and the big shots of the Sky Palace were all very surprised. They originally thought that even if there were scum in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, the Divine Palace, and the Sky Palace, it would be a few. But unexpectedly, the purge this time actually cleared out so many people. Because these 3 major forces had almost hundreds of thousands of people. It was indeed incomparable to the millions of people in the Demon Palace. However, this situation was not a good omen. Because this meant that the people of the 3 major forces were gradually developing towards the Demon Palace. If not for this purge, the people under them would have followed in the footsteps of the Demon Palace sooner or later. How am I being sarcastic? Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly, sighing, "I just want the future of the Sky Cloud realm to be better and better. After all, the current peace is not easy to come by. Hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. For seniors. Qin Feiyang looked at Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise, and smiled. In the future, when the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure opens, we can't just look at their talent, the most important thing is their character. Yes. The four nodded. Young people, it was easy to learn bad things, but difficult to learn good things. For example, some people's minds were not strong, and were slightly instigated, used, or encountered some unforeseen events, and then embarked on a path of no return. Therefore, someone needed to guide them, let them recognize their mistakes, and correct them in time. Now, the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure was the most desirable holy land in the Sky Cloud realm. Because there were countless opportunities and fortunes hidden here, and it was just right to use the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure to guide the younger generation of the Sky Cloud realm to be good. For example, at the end, they could set a threshold for the character assessment. No matter how many assessments you passed in the beginning, in the end, only by passing the character assessment could you enter the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure. In this way, it would allow everyone, or at least most people, to maintain a kind and benevolent heart. With the four of you as invigilators, this junior is very assured. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, got up, looked at everyone, raised the teacup in his hand, and said, "There's no such thing as a banquet that lasts forever. Here, I wish everyone a better future." Everyone looked at each other and smiled, got up one after another, held the wine or teacup in their hands, and clinked with Qin Feiyang across the air. A moment later, after sending everyone away, Qin Feiyang looked at the Feather Emperor and said with a smile, "Old ancestor, I'm going to make a trip back to the Great Qin." Back to the Great Qin? The Feather Emperor was stunned. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded, turned his head to look at the space-time rift floating on the peak of the mountain, and revealed a look of deep longing. It's good to go back and take a look. After all, you've been away for so long. After a moment of silence, the Feather Emperor spoke with a smile. Yes. Time really flies. I guess my brothers and sisters are already full of children and grandchildren. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said with a smile. Then you have to work hard quickly. Don't wait until their great-grandchildren are all over the place, and you won't even have one. The blood ancestor looked at Qin Feiyang mockingly. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. In the face of these elders, he was most afraid of them urging him to have children. Qin Dage, can I go to the Great Qin with you to have a look? Li Feng asked. His eyes were full of expectation and curiosity. Qin Feiyang was taken aback and said with a smile, "Of course." Heh. Li Feng bared his teeth. He had long yearned for the Great Qin. Qin Feiyang looked at Lin Yi again and asked, "Do you want to go back and have a look?" Lin Yi lowered her head. Qin Feiyang comforted her, "Don't worry, what happened back then has passed. No one will blame you." Really? Lin Yi looked at Qin Feiyang, a little nervous. The Great Qin was her home. How could she not want to go back? But the past scenes had been hidden in her heart, making her not have the courage to go back and face her homeland again. Qin Feiyang nodded and gave an encouraging look. Okay. I'll go back. Under Qin Feiyang's encouragement, Lin Yi finally nodded. In fact, running away was not a solution. She had to face what she had to face. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, turned to look at Li Feng, and said, "Send a message to the white-eyed wolf and senior brother. Tell them to come back quickly." Li Feng nodded and took out the voice transmission stone. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and looked at the Feather Emperor trio. "Do the three of you want to go?" Feather Emperor said helplessly, "You have given us so many ultimate profound inheritances. Can we still leave now?" Qin Feiyang laughed involuntarily. Then, his face turned serious. He looked at the trio and asked, "Where are the two ancestors now?" The trio looked hesitant. "How long do you plan to hide it from me?" Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Ahem. The little rabbit coughed dryly and said, hasn't Mu Qing's omniscient eye evolved? Let him look for it. If Mu Qing can be found, why would I ask you? Qin Feiyang glared at him angrily. Even Mu Qing can't be found. The little rabbit was surprised. We can find it. However, we don't know where it is. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly. It seems that omniscient eye is not omnipotent. The little rabbit grinned and said, don't be anxious. When the time is right, they will naturally appear. Looking at the smug look on the little rabbit's face, Qin Feiyang really wanted to kick it. We know that you must miss them very much. However, this is a rare opportunity for them. Don't ask for it for the time being. Feather Emperor smiled. All right. Qin Feiyang was helpless. Since it was a great opportunity, he had to endure it first. The blood ancestor looked at Qin Feiyang and said in a low voice, Kid, you have to take good care of my little cub. Little cub? Qin Feiyang was stunned. A hint of mockery flashed in his eyes as he asked suspiciously, who? The blood ancestor's face darkened. He said angrily, aren't you asking the obvious? If you don't tell me clearly, how would I know? Qin Feiyang looked aggrieved. Are you asking for a beating? The blood ancestor raised his fist and was about to beat him up. Qin Feiyang quickly dodged and said with an embarrassed smile, you're so old. Why are you still so hot-tempered? Who told you that old people don't have a temper? The blood ancestor snorted. Yes, yes, yes. The older you get, the hotter your temper becomes. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked in a low voice, then when are you going to meet him? The blood ancestor suddenly hesitated. Li Feng had already finished his transmission. He grinned at the blood ancestor and said, I didn't expect that the great demon king of the sky cloud realm would have a timid moment. Get lost. The blood ancestor's face darkened. He glared at Li Feng and said, let me tell you, he is my son and you are my disciple. You are brothers. You have to take good care of him for me in the future. Then won't I be his nanny? No, no. I don't even have anyone to take care of me. Li Feng shook his head. You are simply a sinful disciple. How could I have been so blind to fall in love with such a heartless bastard like you? The blood ancestor was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. Chapter 43-40. We already know each other. What else can you do? Li Feng chuckled. In any case, he was like a dead pig that wasn't afraid of boiling water. The blood ancestor's face was dark, and his veins were bulging. I was just joking with you. Are you serious? How boring. Li Feng pursed his lips and said, if you're really worried, why don't you leave him in the sky cloud realm? Leave him in the sky cloud realm? The blood ancestor was stunned. He had never thought about this question before. He had always been concerned about Nangong Tianyu's future. The achievements of Qin Feiyang and the others were obvious to all. As long as Nangong Tianyu stayed with Qin Feiyang and the others, he would definitely become a great person in the future. So, the only problem in his mind was to let Qin Feiyang and the others take care of him. You have a son in your old age. What if something happens to him in the future? We can't bear the responsibility. Qin Feiyang also nodded. He agreed to let Nangong Tianyu stay in the sky cloud realm. After all, even he wasn't confident in the final battle with the Divine Kingdom. Buzz. At this time, the white-eyed wolf, Frenzy, and Zhuo Xiaoxian returned one after another. At first, they were a little nervous when they saw the blood ancestor. But when they saw the blood ancestor lowering his head and frowning, as if he didn't even notice his appearance, they couldn't help but feel puzzled. What's going on? The three of them walked to Qin Feiyang and asked in a low voice. He's hesitating about whether Nangong Tianyu should stay or leave. Qin Feiyang said and looked at the white-eyed wolf suspiciously. Where have you been fooling around all day and night? I went to the dragons. The white-eyed wolf said. The dragons? Qin Feiyang was stunned. When Fire Dance heard this, she frowned slightly, glaring at the ingrate with hostility. She didn't return to the Feng people with pyrotechnic glow and Huo Wenchang. White-eyed wolf also noticed Fire Dance's gaze, and he hurriedly revealed a fawning expression. Madman rolled his eyes and chuckled. Brother Wolf, how long have you been apart from Long Qin? You're already missing her. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf's expression changed. He said angrily, what nonsense are you talking about? Are you trying to sow discord between me and Sister Feng? You brat, your intentions are not pure. After saying that, he hurriedly ran to Fire Dance and said with a flattering smile, Sister Feng, don't listen to his nonsense. He's just jealous of our feelings, so he wants to drive a wedge between us. Fire Dance rolled her eyes. However, it was indeed a little unusual for this guy to go to the dragons. Seeing that everyone was looking at him suspiciously, the white-eyed wolf sighed helplessly and transmitted his voice, to tell you the truth, once I met Dong Zhengyang, he told me that if I wanted to find the Eye of Reincarnation, I could go to the dragons and take a look. What? Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. The owner of the Eye of Reincarnation is among the dragons. Don't get too excited. Although he told us to go to the dragons, he didn't say which dragon it is. The white-eyed wolf thought. How many dragons can there be? Madman was puzzled. The dragons of the ancient realm don't count. The dragons of the sky cloud realm don't count. Moreover, with Dong Zhengyang's annoying nature, this so-called dragons may also refer to the purple gold divine dragon clan. The white-eyed wolf transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. The purple gold divine dragon clan was indeed considered a dragon. Besides, no matter what happened, Dong Zhengyang had the attitude of not revealing the secrets of heaven. Therefore, every time he answered their questions, he would be vague. Perhaps, the dragons he spoke of might represent the purple gold divine dragon clan. We now understand the situation of the purple gold divine dragon clan. Moreover, if there is really the Eye of Reincarnation, the king and uncle would definitely know about it. They wouldn't hide it from us. As for the dragons of the ancient realm, they are now extinct. After a little analysis, it is very likely that they are the dragons of the sky cloud realm. So, I went to the dragons to see if I could find anything. The white-eyed wolf thought. Then, did you find anything? Qin Feiyang asked. The white-eyed wolf shook his head and said, after my tireless inquiries, there seems to be no information related to the Eye of Reincarnation. So, it might be the dragons of the ancient realm? Madman was surprised. No. The dragons of the ancient realm have been exterminated. Wait. Even if the divine dragon island was destroyed, there should more or less be some survivors in the world. Because back then, when we sealed the divine dragon island, the dragons were already suppressed by us. So, we can't rule out that some dragons are hiding outside because of fear of us. The white-eyed wolf's eyes flashed. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other and couldn't help but frown. There is also the purple gold divine dragon clan. We can't rule out this possibility. After all, if this person wants to deliberately hide it, the king and uncle might not know. The white-eyed wolf analyzed. What a headache. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. If only the ancestors were here, because when old enemies meet, there would be rejection. But now, even if they locked onto the target, there was nothing they could do because they didn't have the Eye of Reincarnation. As long as the other party concealed it well, they wouldn't be able to sense the other party's hostility. Madman asked with a voice transmission, this matter is so important, why did old Dong only tell you? He just mentioned it casually. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. Madman and Qin Feiyang looked at each other and couldn't help but smile bitterly. It seemed that Dong Jingyang didn't take this matter to heart. Anyway, I'm sure that this guy definitely knows a lot of things that we don't know. It's just that he hasn't said anything. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. Qin Feiyang and the others nodded and felt the same. Many times, they couldn't help but have the thought of interrogating Dong Jingyang, but this thought was suppressed by them in the end. After all, Dong Jingyang also had his own concerns. At this moment, the blood ancestor finally reacted and shook his head. Forget it. Huh? Qin Feiyang and the others looked at him in shock. A man's life should be grand. Besides, he is the son of the blood ancestor. He must shoulder the responsibility that belongs to him. The blood ancestor clenched his hands and said firmly. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other and couldn't help but give the blood ancestor a thumbs up. He was indeed a respectable old man. Then when do you plan to meet him? Fire Dance asked. Wait until the final battle between you and the Divine Kingdom is over. If we meet now, I'm afraid it will affect his mood. At that time, we will become a burden to him. Remember. All of you must come back alive. The blood ancestor said. Why does it sound like a parting of life and death? The white-eyed wolf was speechless. Cut the crap. This old man hasn't settled the score with you yet. The blood ancestor glared at him fiercely. So you haven't forgotten. The white-eyed wolf smiled embarrassedly. Hearing this, the blood ancestor suddenly burned with anger and roared, although this old man is old, my memory is not so bad that I have forgotten what happened yesterday. Ha, the white-eyed wolf laughed dryly. Get lost, get lost. Just looking at you makes me annoyed. The blood ancestor waved his hand impatiently. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other, bowed to the feather emperor, the blood ancestor, and the little rabbit, and said, You guys, take care. The eyes of the feather emperor and the other two couldn't help but moisten. Although Qin Feiyang and the others were returning to the Great Qin, they all knew in their hearts that this was their final farewell. Because at that time, Qin Feiyang and the others would not come to Sky Cloud Island again. They would directly enter the land of the buried gods and quietly enter the divine kingdom without anyone knowing. This was the character of this group of children. They didn't want others to worry about them. They didn't want to see everyone sad because of the pain of separation. Nether King's Hell. After the madman took away the source of all evil, after all these years of precipitation, this place had undergone earth-shattering changes. Sky. Blazing flames shone high in the clear sky. Earth. The vegetation was lush and full of vitality. Although there were still no humans here, there were many ferocious beasts. It could even be said that this was a paradise for ferocious beasts. Swish. In the sky above a mountain. A space-time passage suddenly appeared, immediately alarming the ferocious beasts in the mountains. This seems to be the power of space-time law. In our Nether King's Hell, no one has mastered the power of law. Could it be a big shot from the Sky Cloud Realm? Because the creatures of the Sky Cloud Realm all moved to Nether King's Hell to seek refuge, the ferocious beasts here were no stranger to the existence of the Sky Cloud Realm. At the same time, a fire python appeared in the sky above. Greetings, Lord Guardian. The ferocious beasts prostrated themselves on the ground. Get up. The fire python opened its mouth and stared intently at the space-time passage. Suddenly, a familiar aura surged from the space-time passage. This is, the fire python couldn't help but be refreshed. It seems to be, figures also appeared in the heads of the ferocious beasts below. Finally, the first figure appeared. It was Qin Feiyang. The second, third, fourth, Madman, Shuxiaoxian, Fire Dance, White-Eyed Wolf, Lin Yi, and Li Feng also walked out one after another. Brother Qin, Brother Mo, Brother Wolf King, the fire python was extremely excited and hurriedly greeted them. "Brother Fire." When Qin Feiyang and the other two heard this voice, they immediately looked down. When they saw the fire python, their faces were full of smiles. And in Qin Feiyang's hand, there was a badge. It was none other than the badge he had taken from the jade box. Because the space-time passage between the Sky Cloud Realm and Nether King's Hell had not been repaired, they needed this badge to return to Nether King's Hell. Qin Feiyang put away the badge and immediately greeted the fire python. The brotherly love was revealed in their hearts. The fire python said with joy, "I thought I would never see you again in the future, but I didn't expect you to come back so soon." "Never see us again? What do you mean by this? Are you cursing us?" White-Eyed Wolf's face darkened. The fire python was taken aback for a moment and smiled bitterly. "Can I curse you? You are all big shots now. You must go to a higher place. What are you thinking? Our brotherly love can't stand the test." Qin Feiyang had a trace of displeasure in his expression, but then he smiled and said, "Don't talk about big shots. Even if we become the masters of the world, we will still be brothers in this life." The fire python was moved and nodded, "Yes, in this life, we are all brothers." Although he was the guardian of miracle, in terms of strength and status, the gap between him and Qin Feiyang and the others was not small. But even so, Qin Feiyang and the others had never forgotten about him. They were also not like some people who became arrogant and conceited and looked down on others. These brothers, it was worth it to hand them over. Chapter 43-41. The Hell of Nether King is not bad. The sky is clear, the mountains are green, and the water is even more beautiful than a fairyland. Glancing at this continent that was completely different from before, Lin Yi's eyes were full of surprise. Because there was no destruction from humans, everything in the Hell of Nether King looked very beautiful. "Isn't this my credit?" Madman smiled proudly. "Bullshit." Chua Shaoxian whispered next to him. "It's the truth. If I didn't take away the source of all evil and help everyone remove the control, would the Hell of Nether King become like this?" Madman said. "It's true that it's your credit, but don't mention it all the time. You are deliberately showing off." Chua Shaoxian said unconvinced. "Haha," Fire Python laughed, looked at Laozi, and asked, "This is my sister-in-law, right?" "Sort of." Madman nodded. "Sort of." Chua Shaoxian grabbed Madman's arm and said fiercely, "Say it again." She looked like a little tiger that was angry. "No, no, you are my one and only. In this life, I have decided on you. As for other women, no matter how beautiful they are, I will not spare a glance." Madman quickly admitted defeat. It was too shameful to be bullied by his own woman in front of his brother. Fire Python looked at Madman in surprise. He didn't expect that the reincarnation of Blood Demon King would be subdued by a little girl. He looked at Chua Shaoxian and said with a smile, "Sister-in-law, the changes in the Hell of Nether King are indeed thanks to Brother Madman. Did you see that? Did you see that? Even he, the guardian, said so." Madman looked at Chua Shaoxian proudly as if to say, "Little girl, it's your blessing to be fancied by me. Don't bully me all day. Be careful that I will divorce you one day." Chua Shaoxian rolled her eyes. What a shameless guy. "Brother Qin, how is the situation in the Sky Cloud Realm now? Has the Divine Kingdom been driven away by you?" The ferocious beasts below could not help but ask all at once. The Divine Kingdom's invasion of the Sky Cloud Realm was no longer a secret in the Hell of Nether King. "Thank you for your concern. Everything is fine." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "That's good. Are you going back to Great Qin to reunite with your family? To be honest, you should go back and take a look. After all, you've been away for so many years. Your family must miss you very much." His words were filled with concern. Yes. I'm preparing to go back. Of course, I also wanted to visit everyone. Also, in the future, if the descendants of the Qin clan come to the Hell of Hades for training, please take good care of them. Qin Feiyang smiled. We will definitely take good care of the descendants of the Qin clan. Yes. We won't stop until we beat them to a pulp. The group of beasts burst into laughter. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. So that's how he took care of me. It seemed like the descendants of the Qin clan would have a hard time in the Hell of Hades. However, this was also a good thing. After all, there was a saying that a jade that was not carved would not become a treasure. All right, disperse. They're not national treasures. There's nothing to see. The fire python waved its claws and laughed. That's easy. Let them give birth to a baby. Won't that be our national treasure? Yes. Brother Qin, you have time now. Shouldn't you think about it? The group of beasts kept cheering. They were not nervous at all. Qin Feiyang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Even these beasts were urging him to have a baby. The fire python was speechless. It said angrily, "Go away. Even if Brother Qin gives birth to a baby, do you think he'll let you play with it like a toy? That's not impossible." One of the beasts grinned. Then, it turned around and disappeared. The other ferocious beasts also dispersed. Zhuo Shaoxian and the fire phoenix looked at each other. They didn't expect Qin Feiyang to be so popular in the Hell of Hades. The fire python smiled bitterly. It looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Brother Qin, don't mind them. They mean no harm. I know. The more they behave like this, the closer they are to me. I'm more than happy." Qin Feiyang chuckled. He liked this feeling of being free. It was unlike in the Sky Cloud Realm and the Divine Kingdom. No matter who it was, they would feel uncomfortable when they saw him. The white-eyed wolf asked curiously, "Little Python, are there any changes in the Divine Demon Forest in Fallen Valley?" Little Python. The fire python's mouth twitched. It said helplessly, "I knew I couldn't escape this fate sooner or later." What do you mean? The white-eyed wolf was a little confused. I mean, don't give people random nicknames all day. Fire Dance glared at it. Little Python, you call that a nickname? How about I call you Little Python? The white-eyed wolf bared its teeth at the fire python. As long as you're happy. The fire python shook its head and smiled bitterly. Fallen Valley and other places are definitely different from before. After all, there is no evil force in the Nether King's hell. However, the Divine Demon Forest is still the same as before. In comparison, it's less dangerous than before. Now, many beasts dare to go to the Divine Demon Forest alone to look for opportunities. Then it seems that the Nether King's hell will give birth to many Sovereign Realm experts in the future. The white-eyed wolf smiled. Definitely. Without the restriction of the rules, many beasts have broken the shackles and stepped into the imperishable realm. The fire python nodded. But there is still something missing here. Fire Dance muttered. What's missing? Everyone looked at her suspiciously. People. Fire Dance said. Don't. It's good like this now. If humans really come here, they will definitely create chaos in the Nether King's hell. The fire python quickly waved its hand. Old man, are you looking down on us humans? Frenzy was unhappy. It's not that I look down on you humans, but you humans are hated. Of course, that doesn't include you guys. The fire python laughed. Do you mean that we can stay here for a long time? Frenzy asked. Of course. You can stay as long as you want. I believe that the beasts here will welcome you. The fire python nodded. Not bad, not bad. Frenzy turned his head to look at Zhuo Shaoxian and chuckled. In the future, when we retire, we will stay here for a few years and live the life of an immortal couple. Zhuo Xiaoxian's cheeks blushed. Qin Feiyang looked at Frenzy and Zhuo Xiaoxian. Wasn't this wish also his wish? Wait. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang raised his head to look at the sky, and his face darkened slightly. What's wrong? Everyone couldn't help but be shocked, and looked at Qin Feiyang and asked. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "Isn't the ruler of the divine kingdom in the Nether King's hell now?" Hearing this, Frenzy, White-Eyed Wolf, Fire Dance, Zhuo Xiaoxian, and Li Feng's eyes suddenly trembled. The ruler of the divine kingdom? Lin Yi looked suspicious. Why would the ruler of the divine kingdom be in the Nether King's hell? Not to mention the fire python. Even the ruler of the divine kingdom had never heard of it. Brother Fire, have you seen any traces of small beast and ice dragon in the Nether King's hell over the years? Qin Feiyang asked. No. The fire python shook its head and said in surprise, "Are they in the Nether King's hell?" No. Qin Feiyang frowned. It seemed that even the fire python, the guardian, couldn't sense the existence of ice dragon and small beast. Mu Qing, can you help me check where the ruler of the divine kingdom is now? An ice dragon and small beast, are they with him? Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and secretly transmitted his voice. Okay. Mu Qing's response immediately sounded in his mind. Chapter 43-42. Brother Qin, the ruler of the divine kingdom you mentioned, is it the lord of the divine kingdom you mentioned before? Fire Python was surprised. No. Qin Feiyang shook his head. No. Isn't the lord of the divine kingdom the ruler? Fire Python's eyes widened in disbelief. Because in his opinion, the lord of the divine kingdom was the most supreme existence in the divine kingdom. The situation in the divine kingdom is a bit complicated. The lord of the divine kingdom is just the master of the divine kingdom on the surface. The real ruler is someone else. According to Mu Qing's omniscient eye, the ruler of the divine kingdom is now in Hades' hell. Small beast and ice dragon brought him here. Qin Feiyang explained. What? In my Hades' hell? Fire Python's eyes trembled. As the guardian of this place, he didn't know anything about it. Lin Yi asked puzzledly, why did ice dragon and small beast bring him to Hades' hell? Qin Feiyang pondered for a while. In the end, he decided to tell Lin Yi the truth and said, because if this ruler is always in the divine kingdom, then we have no chance to establish ourselves at all. In other words, to restrain the ruler of the divine kingdom? Lin Yi asked. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. A bitter smile crept onto his face as he sighed, although the ice dragon and the little critter are very hateful, I really have to thank them for all these years. Because if it weren't for them constantly restraining the ruler of Scandinavia, I'm afraid we would have already lost our lives in the hands of this ruler. Strange, why would they help you? Lin Yi frowned. What else can it be? They must have found their conscience. The white-eyed wolf sneered. Found their conscience. Lin Yi shook her head noncommittally. It was impossible for existences like Ice Dragon and Small Beast to do something meaningless. The location has been locked. A short while passed. Mu Qing's voice finally sounded. Where? Qin Feiyang was shocked. Godfiend Forest. The small beast isn't here, but the ice dragon is. Mu Qing said. What? They are actually in the mythical forest. Qin Feiyang stared blankly and asked, are you sure? Of course. Mu Qing replied. They are in the mythical forest. Meanwhile, Madman and the others also looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Yes. Mu Qing said that he and Ice Dragon were both in the forest of gods and devils, but they didn't see Small Beast. Qin Feiyang nodded. Impossible. I've been to the forest of divine demons several times over the years, but I didn't see Lord Ice Dragon at all, let alone the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. The Fire Python frowned. Brother Fire, although you are the guardian of this place, don't forget that the other party is Ice Dragon and the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. With their strength, if they don't want you to know, even if they are standing in front of you, you won't be able to find them. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Hearing this, the Fire Python couldn't help but smile bitterly. It was indeed so. One was Ice Dragon, one was Small Beast, they were both unfathomable existences. Moreover, his position as the guardian of the miracle was given to him by Ice Dragon and Small Beast. The white-eyed wolf asked, "Do you want to go to the forest of gods and devils to take a look?" Hearing this, Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other. They were a little restless. "Why don't we go and take a look? If it doesn't work, we will just take a look from afar and not provoke them." The Fire Python's eyes were also filled with curiosity about the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. To be honest, he was also a little curious about the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. The Fire Python asked, "Did Mu Qing say where they are in the forest of gods and devils?" "Let me ask first." After saying this, Qin Feiyang secretly asked Mu Qing. A moment later, Qin Feiyang looked up at the Fire Python and said, "Mu Qing said that they are at the top of a giant mountain. This giant mountain has a very obvious feature. It is in the shape of a trident." Trident, the Fire Python lowered its head and pondered for a while. Suddenly, its eyes lit up. As it waved its claws, an image appeared in the void in front of it. In the image was a majestic mountain range. There were many mountains and giant beasts running amok. One of the giant mountains was exactly as Mu Qing described. It was in the shape of a trident. From afar, it looked like a trident standing among the mountains. "Is it here?" the Fire Python asked. This was not an illusion. As the guardian of this place, just like Qin Feiyang in the Black Tortoise realm, the Fire Python could see the whole picture of the Nether King's hell. Qin Feiyang was not sure, because he had only heard Mu Qing's description. Whether it was true or not, he had to ask Mu Qing to confirm it in person. With a thought, Mu Qing appeared beside him. "Long time no see. How have you been?" Seeing the Fire Python, Mu Qing immediately greeted him. "Thank you for your concern." The Fire Python smiled slightly. Naturally, he did not have the same feelings for Mu Qing as he did for Qin Feiyang and the others. "Do you think it's here?" Qin Feiyang pointed at the image in the void. Mu Qing looked up for a while and nodded. "It's here, but, speaking of this," he could not help but frown. He scanned the mountain peak and said, "Brother Fire, can you enlarge the scene on the mountain peak?" The Fire Python waved and the mountain peak in the image immediately enlarged. However, on the mountain peak, there was nothing but grass, trees, and gravel. "What's going on?" I clearly saw a small wooden house on the mountain peak with my all-seeing eye. Ice Dragon and the ruler of the Divine Kingdom are sitting in front of the wooden house and drinking tea. Mu Qing frowned. "You saw a wooden house?" Qin Feiyang and the others scanned the mountain peak in surprise. With the Fire Python's magnification, they could see every blade of grass and tree on the mountain peak clearly. However, they did not see the small wooden house that Mu Qing mentioned. "Are you sure you're not mistaken? A few days ago, when I went to the forest of gods and demons, I passed by this place. I did not see any wooden house at all." The Fire Python could not help but frown. Mu Qing activated his all-seeing eye again and said in a low voice, "I'm sure. They are on the mountain peak now. But why can't I see them?" Qin Feiyang glanced at Mu Qing and scanned the mountain peak without blinking. Mu Qing's all-seeing eye could not be wrong. There must be something strange about this. The Fire Python looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Why don't we go to the scene and take a look?" "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. The fire python waved its claws and a group of people immediately appeared in the sky above the forest of gods and demons. The trident-shaped giant peak was located right below them. It could be said that it was close at hand. However, even if they were to search at close range, they still could not find the so-called wooden house. Seeing a ghost in broad daylight? Mu Qin frowned. No, there must be something that we have overlooked. Qin Feiyang whispered. Suddenly, his eyes flashed as he scanned the mountain peak and muttered, could it be an illusion? He had encountered such a situation in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. At that time, the Black Flame Demon King came to find trouble with him and created an illusion. It seemed that there was no one, but in fact, the Black Flame Demon King was standing not far away and looking at him. All of a sudden, his eyes began to change. Streams of life and death power constantly surged. Life and death eye, open. The life and death eye could see through illusions and see through fabrications. The moment the life and death eye opened, the mountain peak suddenly changed into a different scene. He saw that the mountain peak, which was originally uneven in height, was now extremely flat with lush green weeds growing on it. The tall trees also disappeared and were replaced by lush small trees that surrounded the mountain peak. Here, it was like a big garden. At the center of the mountain peak stood a small wooden building that was 2 stories tall. It was decorated with carved beams and painted pillars. It had an antique style and appeared to be quite exquisite. Beside the wooden building, there was a pavilion. 2 figures sat facing each other in the pavilion, with a pot of tea on the stone table in the middle. But their faces were blurry, and it was impossible to see their true faces. However, it could be seen that the 2 were drinking tea while looking at Qin Feiyang and the others. That's right. These 2 people were Ice Dragon and the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. Old Qin, how is it? Madman asked. Qin Feiyang did not answer. The life and death eye bloomed with divine light and shouted, break. The illusion was immediately broken. Everything on the mountain peak immediately appeared. When Madman and the others saw Ice Dragon and the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, they immediately became cautious as if they were facing a great enemy. Greetings, Lord Dragon God. Fire Python also hurriedly bowed. Who would have thought that this place was actually an illusion? Could it be that they had not discovered these 2 people all these years? Ice Dragon glanced at Fire Python indifferently, then looked at Qin Feiyang and the others with an extremely displeased expression. Not bad, you still have the mood to come back and stroll around. Can't we rest if we're tired? Madman snorted coldly. How long has it been, and you're already saying that you're tired? Is that all you can do? It seems that we really misjudged. Ice Dragon said. Don't just stand there and talk. White-Eyed Wolf's face was full of anger as he roared, go and ask Dragon, cough cough, but before White-Eyed Wolf could finish speaking, Ice Dragon coughed and interrupted White-Eyed Wolf's words, and secretly gave White-Eyed Wolf a warning. White-Eyed Wolf originally wanted to say, go and ask Long Chen and Long Qin if they're tired after all these years. As for Ice Dragon interrupting White-Eyed Wolf, it was naturally to prevent his relationship with Long Chen and his sister from being known by the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. The warning at the back was also to warn White-Eyed Wolf not to let it slip. Tisk. White-Eyed Wolf's face was full of disdain. Of course, he understood. But in his heart, he really despised him. Even his son and daughter did not dare to let the ruler of the Divine Kingdom know. It seemed that they were not very good. Then why are you here now? Ice Dragon frowned. Is there a need to say? Of course, we're here to visit this ruler. To see if he's used to living in our Nether King's hell. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted. The sarcasm in his words could be heard as long as one was not a fool. When Ice Dragon heard this, he looked at the silent ruler of the Divine Kingdom sitting opposite him and couldn't help but have a playful look in his eyes. Ruler, why aren't you saying anything? Aren't you curious about the current situation of the Divine Kingdom? And this time, how did we pass through the gate of the Divine Kingdom and return to the Sky Cloud realm? Li Feng looked at the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, who had his head lowered and was drinking tea indifferently, and the sarcasm in his words became even more obvious. Chapter 43-43. Hearing these words, the Divine Kingdom's ruler's hand that was holding the teacup tightened. As for Ice Dragon, he was completely watching a show at this moment. Although Qin Feiyang and others ran back to the Sky Cloud realm without permission, which made him quite dissatisfied, it was good to see the Divine Kingdom's ruler's exasperated look. You really don't want to know? If you don't want to know, we will tell you. The 5 major races of the Divine Kingdom have been wiped out by us. Especially the Sea Clan and the Beast Clan that you regarded as your confidants. Now, none of them are left. They were all killed by us. There is also an old thing named Yulao. We don't know who he is to you, but he also died miserably. You don't believe it? Old Qin, take out their ruler's divine weapons. The madman grinned. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and Tianju sword, God Slayer halberd, and Star Tower, 3 high-level rulers' divine weapons appeared. This is, Lin Yi and Fire Python's pupils shrank. Of course, they have seen rulers' divine weapons before. These 3 rulers' divine weapons were obviously countless times stronger than the ones they had seen before. At this moment, facing the Divine Kingdom's ruler, the 3 rulers' divine weapons were a little afraid. Be tough for me. You are now our ruler's divine weapons. Don't be a coward and embarrass us. The madman stared at the 3 rulers' divine weapons. The 3 rulers' divine weapons' artifact spirits were bitter in their hearts. Don't you know who the other party is? That is the ruler of the Divine Kingdom who created them. In front of such an existence, how could they not be nervous? At the same time, Ice Dragon was also surprised. He didn't expect that in just these few years, these kids had already conquered half of the Divine Kingdom. The destruction of the 5 major races was equivalent to destroying half of the Divine Kingdom. Now, there was only one central dynasty left in the Divine Kingdom. Give me some face and take a look. The madman swayed the 3 high-level rulers' divine weapons with a smug look. Crack! With a crisp sound, the teacup in the hands of the sovereign of the Divine Kingdom shattered. Madman was shocked, but thinking that Ice Dragon was also present, he was fearless. He laughed and said, speaking of which, who is Yulao to you? I heard that he has a very high status in the Central Dynasty. Even your son, the Emperor, ordered his subordinates to rescue him no matter what. Whoosh! The dominator of the Divine Kingdom stood up, looked up at the madman, and asked, did you really kill him? His tone contained a bone-piercing chill. So angry? It seems that this Yulao's relationship with you is not simple. But it's a pity that there's nothing left of him. This is also your fault. Why didn't you tell us earlier? If you had told us earlier, we would have kept his head and delivered it to you personally. Madman shook his head with a look of regret. You're courting death. The sovereign of the Divine Kingdom was enraged, and the power of laws surged out. The madman's expression changed, and he quickly pulled Zhuo Shaoxian back, roaring, Old Qin, I'll leave it to you. Yes. Take care of it. The white-eyed wolf also pulled Fire Dance and quickly fled. Qin Feiyang stared at the sovereign of the Divine Kingdom, his eyes burning with fighting spirit. He said to Lin Yi, Li Feng, and the fire python behind him, I also want to experience his strength. Step back. Can you do it? He is the sovereign of the Divine Kingdom. Li Feng was worried. The sovereign's strongest means is nothing more than the power of origin. But in hell, he can't control the power of origin of the Divine Kingdom at all. Besides, he is also a human. Don't be afraid of him just because he is the sovereign of the Divine Kingdom. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Li Feng, Lin Yi, and the fire python looked at each other and quickly retreated to the side of the madman and the white-eyed wolf. You have courage. Ice Dragon nodded with an appreciative smile. With a wave of his hand, a huge barrier appeared above the forest of gods and demons. He said, "Don't worry about harming the creatures of hell. Go all out and fight him." Qin Feiyang glanced at Ice Dragon and stepped into the barrier. Are you looking for death? I will fulfill your wish. The sovereign of the divine kingdom laughed and rushed into the barrier like lightning. He slammed his palm at Qin Feiyang with monstrous murderous intent. Without the power of origin, I want to see what you can do. Qin Feiyang was not to be outdone. Boom! An invisible force rolled out. A punch blasted out. In an instant, the fist and the palm collided. A wave of destructive energy surged out in all directions like a torrent, toppling mountains and overturning seas. Just the collision of physical strength and power stunned Lin Yi and the fire python. If Ice Dragon set up a barrier with such destructive force, the mythical forest would be razed to the ground in minutes. One was the sovereign of the divine kingdom, and the other was the sovereign of the Black Tortoise world. A pinnacle showdown between sovereigns. The strength of the two was almost neck and neck. Sure enough. Without the power of origin, you are no different from us. Qin Feiyang's confidence skyrocketed. His fists were like a storm as he attacked the sovereign of the divine kingdom. Bang! Bang! In just a few seconds, the two had exchanged hundreds of rounds. This sovereign of the divine kingdom doesn't seem to be that powerful. The fire python grumbled. Ugh! Frenzy, White-Eyed Wolf, Fire Dance, and Zhuo Xian looked at each other. Sure enough, the ignorant were fearless. He dared to say such words. Back then, if Ice Dragon and Small Beast came to rescue them, they would have died in the hands of this person as soon as they entered the divine kingdom. The power of origin of the divine kingdom was not to be trifled with. Boom! Another fist met. Qin Feiyang and the sovereign of the divine kingdom took a few steps back. The sovereign of the divine kingdom said in disbelief, I really didn't expect that in just these few years, you have grown to this point in the divine kingdom. My growth is not something you can imagine. Qin Feiyang became more and more courageous as he fought. The ultimate profundity of the law of life and death and the ultimate profundity of the 6 strongest laws were activated at the same time. Dual will of heavenly Tao erupted. What? The sovereign of the divine kingdom was shocked. He remembered that when he entered the divine kingdom, this person had just comprehended the ultimate profundity of the law of life and death. As for the strongest laws, there were only the law of life and death, the law of life, and the law of cause and effect. But he didn't expect that after returning from the divine kingdom, there would be an additional ultimate profundity of the law of destruction, the law of space-time, and the law of time. How did he do it? Even Ice Dragon felt it was incredible. He didn't expect that it was Long Chen who helped. If he knew that all this was because of Long Chen's soul manipulation, his expression would be very interesting. Brother Frenzy, Brother Wolf, what's going on? Lin Yi also had a look of surprise. Back then, when Qin Feiyang comprehended the ultimate profundity of the law of life and death, she had already heard about the battle with the king and others in the western continent. Therefore, she knew a little about the will of heavenly Tao. Now, the will of heavenly Tao that Qin Feiyang erupted was obviously much stronger than before. This is the benefit of comprehending the law of life and death. I can master 2 will of heavenly Tao. Frenzy's face was full of yearning. He had been in seclusion all these years to study the law of life and death. Who wouldn't desire dual will of heavenly Tao? But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't fuse the law of life and death. That kind of powerlessness and difficulty was simply despairing. Come on. Let me see what you're capable of. Don't lose your origin power. You'll become a paper tiger. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the 7 ultimate profundities carried the power to destroy the world as they madly charged toward the sovereign of the divine kingdom. This kid is a bit arrogant. As a sovereign, how can his strength be weak? Well, let him learn a lesson so that he won't be too arrogant, Ice Dragon whispered. But Qin Feiyang didn't hear these words. He stared at the sovereign of the divine kingdom. The 7 ultimate profundities were almost in front of the sovereign of the divine kingdom. Facing these 7 ultimate profundities, even experts like the sovereign and the divine king had to avoid them. But the sovereign of the divine kingdom stood in front of them without moving. So calm. Madman murmured. Boom. The next moment, a monstrous might emerged. The sovereign of the divine kingdom looked coldly at Qin Feiyang and said with contempt, "Don't you know that to become the true sovereign of a world, one must first comprehend the law of life and death?" As his voice fell, the power of life and death roared out. The sovereign of life and death instantly appeared. What? When this scene appeared, not only Qin Feiyang, but Madman and the others also changed their expressions. They never expected that the sovereign of the divine kingdom also grasped the law of life and death. Wasn't it said that no one in the divine kingdom comprehended the law of life and death? What was going on? In the history of the divine kingdom, no one has comprehended the law of life and death, but can I, the sovereign of the divine kingdom, be considered an ordinary person? Kid, you underestimate this sovereign too much. The sovereign of the divine kingdom smiled sinisterly, and another ultimate profundities appeared. There were 9 ultimate profundities of the strongest law. In other words, they were the ultimate profundities of all ordinary laws. That's right. This sovereign of the divine kingdom grasped the ultimate profundities of all laws, including the law of light and darkness. So strong. Madman and White-Eyed Wolf's eyes trembled. The ultimate profundities of all laws, time, space-time, destruction, nothingness, karma, light and darkness, devour, death, life. Thunder, slaughter, light, darkness, metal, wood, fire, force, and so on. Wasn't this the goal they were chasing now? And this sovereign of the divine kingdom had already reached the peak of this realm. Now you know how insignificant you are. The sovereign of the divine kingdom sneered. The various ultimate profundities erupted with a terrifying will of the heavens. It was also a dual will of the heavens. With a loud bang, the ultimate profundities of both sides collided violently. In the face of absolute suppression in numbers, Qin Feiyang's 7 ultimate profundities crumbled on the spot. "Brother Feiyang," Lin Yi exclaimed in panic. Compared to when he was in the sky cloud realm, Qin Feiyang's strength had improved too much. It could be said that he could easily suppress the entire sky cloud realm by himself. But the other party's strength was even more terrifying. Mastering the ultimate profundities of all laws was simply unimaginable. Don't panic. Your brother Feiyang has more means than this. Madman and White-Eyed Wolf comforted him. But looking at the sovereign of the divine kingdom standing inside the enchantment, their eyes were more dignified than anyone else. Chapter 43-44. Rumble, inside the enchantment. Qin Feiyang's situation was precarious. The divine kingdom's dominator's ultimate intent was like rolling thunder, shattering the vast sky and crazily attacking Qin Feiyang. It seems that you're not a paper tiger. Qin Feiyang narrowed his eyes slightly. 3,000 incarnations instantly appeared in the void behind him. That's right. Brother Feiyang still has this trump card. Lin Yi was shocked. As long as the 3,000 incarnations are activated, there is no enemy that Brother Feiyang can't defeat. As soon as the 3,000 incarnations appeared, 21,000 ultimate intent instantly appeared, exuding a terrifying divine power that was enough to destroy this continent. That's right. At this moment, without Ice Dragon's enchantment, the entire hell would definitely turn into ashes. After all, hell was too small. Not even 1/10 of the sky cloud realm. Even if you have mastered all the ultimate intent, you can't block my 21,000 ultimate intent. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. Rumble. The 21,000 ultimate intent was like a runaway wild horse, covering the sky and earth. Sure enough. The dozens of ultimate intent of the Divine Kingdom's dominator were unable to fight back and collapsed on the spot. Immediately after, 21,000 ultimate profound meanings instantly drowned him. It's really not that good. The madman smiled. As soon as the 3,000 incarnations were activated, Qin Feiyang was basically an invincible existence. Even the dominator would still die. Phew. Qin Feiyang also let out a long sigh. The Divine Kingdom's dominator was indeed powerful, but without the power of the origin, he was still a lot weaker. If we can take the opportunity to kill him now, then we will have one less big problem. The white-eyed wolf muttered, staring at the battlefield that was drowned by the ultimate intent. There was some expectation in his eyes. After a while, dust fell to the ground. However, Qin Feiyang and the others were dumbfounded on the spot. The void of the enchantment had turned into a mess, but the dominator of the Divine Kingdom standing on the opposite side was unscathed. How is this possible? One must know. Now, he had 21,000 ultimate profound meanings and 2 wills of the heavenly Tao. Among them, there were 3,000 ultimate profundities of the laws of life and death. How could such means not even injure the master of the Divine Kingdom? You guys are also naive. If this is the extent of my power, how can I rule such a large Divine Kingdom? The sovereign of the Divine Kingdom looked at the mad scientist and the others mockingly. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, although you are also the sovereign of the Black Tortoise realm, compared to me, you are still too weak. No, to be exact, your position in the Black Tortoise world is equivalent to that of a guardian. What a joke. Even a sovereign can't possibly be this strong. Madman and the others clenched their fists tightly. Qin Feiyang stared at the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. He didn't even turn his head to look at the 3,000 incarnations as he roared, if we can't defeat him in the Divine Kingdom now, then we will have even less hope once he returns to the Divine Kingdom. Therefore, we cannot lose this battle. Yes. We can't lose. The 3,000 incarnations roared in unison. All the ultimate intents were activated once more. Carrying an apocalyptic aura, they once again attacked the sovereign of the Divine Kingdom. Ignorant child, when you step into my realm in the future, you will know how naive and laughable your actions are. The sovereign of the Divine Kingdom sneered. Boom! Before he finished speaking, the power of law surged out of his body. This was the law of death. It was very ordinary. There was nothing special about it. Looking at this law of death, Qin Feiyang and the others couldn't help but be puzzled. Previously, even after activating all the ultimate intents, they still couldn't block the 21,000 ultimate intents of the 3,000 incarnations. Now, with just one law of death, this person wanted to reverse the situation. Who was the naive one? Who was the laughable one? However, before they could speak, the law of death around the sovereign of the Divine Kingdom suddenly soared into the sky. Boom! Accompanied by a terrifying divine might, a giant black figure appeared in the sky. This giant figure was wrapped in a black robe, and death energy swirled around it. It wore a skull mask on its face, exuding a ferocious aura. Moreover, with the appearance of this giant figure, a gust of wind blew within the barrier, and dark clouds rolled. This was all condensed from the death energy. Qin Feiyang, who was inside the barrier, had never felt such a terrifying death energy. At this moment, he had a very real feeling, as if he was in the 18 levels of hell, and there were the roars of ghosts and ghosts in his ears. There were even illusions in front of his eyes. It was as if he was looking at soldiers wearing armor and surging with death energy, breaking through the void, waving the sharp blades in their hands, and pouncing towards him. What is this thing? Outside. Frenzy and the others also looked at the giant black figure in surprise. They had never seen it before. The various ultimate intents of the law of death also didn't have such a form. Moreover, even though they were separated by a barrier, they could still feel a sense of fatal danger. It was like a giant black shadow. As long as it waved its fist, they would be smashed to pieces. Clang! However, it wasn't over yet. Accompanied by a deafening noise, a dark stone door appeared behind the giant black figure. This was the gate of hell. It was tens of thousands of feet tall, and the death energy was monstrous. Boom! The next moment, another dark red waning moon rose into the sky. Not only the barrier, but even the divine demon forest outside was dyed dark red, giving people an illusion that they had entered an endless purgatory. Isn't this the supreme ultimate intents of the law of death? Frenzy murmured. Boom! However, before his voice faded, it was accompanied by a terrifying aura. The 18 levels of hell appeared. This, Qin Feiyang was also stunned. The ultimate intents of the law of death. Gate of hell, waning moon, 18 levels of hell, what was this person trying to do? You shouldn't have returned to the sky cloud realm, and you shouldn't have come to the Nether King's hell to provoke me, because if you had stayed in the divine kingdom, you could have lived a little longer. Now, you will slowly walk towards destruction in the movement of death. The ruler of the divine kingdom raised his hand and pointed in the air. The gate of hell, waning moon, and 18 levels of hell merged together with a dazzling divine light. The next moment, a dark red giant sickle appeared in the sky. It was hundreds of feet long. Every sawtooth on it flickered with a sinister light. At the same time, an unprecedented demonic aura erupted. This demonic aura had already surpassed the ultimate intents of the supreme ultimate intents. And it surpassed it by more than a little. Even the ultimate intents of the law of life and death were far inferior. It was simply unprecedented. Qin Feiyang stood in front of the giant black shadow. Facing the giant sickle in the giant shadow's hand, an indescribable fear emerged in his heart. That's right. At this moment, fear and other emotions instantly drowned him. He couldn't even move. His legs seemed to be stuck in a quagmire, and there was only despair in his mind. This feeling was like facing the sky-swallowing beast. Yes. The current ruler of the divine kingdom gave him the same sense of crisis that the golden small beast gave him in the past. Little Qin Zi, what are you doing? Now is not the time to sleepwalk. The white-eyed wolf roared. Sleepwalk? What a childish and ridiculous thing to say. He has now been drowned in fear and despair. To put it simply, he has been scared silly. You dare to challenge me with this little strength? You really don't know what death is. The ruler of the divine kingdom smiled contemptuously. With a wave of his hand, the giant black shadow raised the giant sickle in his hand and slashed at the void in front of him. The 21,000 ultimate intents of the 3,000 clones were almost in front of the ruler of the divine kingdom. The lethality of these 21,000 ultimate intents was obvious to all. Even the powerful divine kingdom did not dare to compete with them. However, at this moment, the giant black shadow merely waved the giant sword in his hand, and the 21,000 ultimate intents were all destroyed in an instant. That's right. In an instant, all of them were destroyed. Without any resistance, they were as fragile as rotten wood. Who would be able to accept such a scene? Qin Feiyang could not accept it. Lunatic and the white-eyed wolf could not accept it either. Li Feng, Fire Dance, and Zhuo Shaoxian could not accept it either. It was too terrifying. 3000 ultimate intents of the law of life and death, 18,000 ultimate intents of the law of ultimate intents, and 2 wills of the great path. This terrifying technique that could sweep away everything was easily defeated by the giant sickle. What kind of strength was this? Wasn't the strongest technique in the world the ultimate intense? But now, the ruler of the divine kingdom was using a technique that was many times more powerful than the ultimate intense. Even the kingdom of life and death was like an adult and a baby in front of this technique. What is this? How can it be so powerful? When they came back to their senses, Lunatic and the White-Eyed Wolf roared in disbelief. To defeat 21,000 ultimate intense with 2 wills of the Great Path, even a legendary divine weapon of the Dominator couldn't do this. They must be dreaming. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also stared at the giant black shadow and giant sickle behind the ruler of the divine kingdom, dumbfounded. His mind was in a mess, just like Lunatic and the White-Eyed Wolf. They could not believe what they were seeing. Because this was far beyond their understanding of the ultimate intense. Do you understand now? If it weren't for the sky-swallowing beast and the ice dragon helping you, you would have died countless times. Killing trash like you is just a matter of waving my hand and nodding my head. Go repent in hell. The ruler of the divine kingdom smiled sinisterly. The giant black shadow raised the giant sickle in its hand. The terrifying demonic power made Qin Feiyang unable to move an inch, and his heart was filled with extreme fear. Get out of the way. Lunatic and the White-Eyed Wolf roared at the same time. Qin Feiyang didn't want to get out of the way. He wanted to. But at this moment, he couldn't move. His heart could not help but set off a storm. He, who had opened the door to all his potential, was still imprisoned by this pressure. How strong was this? He didn't have the strength to fight back at all. He could only watch as the giant sickle fell. His entire body and mind were shrouded in the shadow of death. No, bastard, if you dare to kill him, we will fight you to the death. Lunatic and the White-Eyed Wolf roared angrily. All the ultimate intents were activated, and the wills of the Great Path erupted. Moreover, they also awakened the Sky Extinction Sword, the God-slaying Halberd, and the Star Tower, the 3 high-level Dominator divine weapons. They didn't care about their lives and madly rushed toward the barrier. Chapter 43-45. However, 3 high-grade Dominator weapons and the ultimate intents of the Mad Scientist and the White-Eyed Wolf were unable to break through Ice Dragon's barrier. So strong. The two immediately looked at Ice Dragon. Ice Dragon glanced indifferently at the Mad Scientist and the White-Eyed Wolf. With a wave of his hand, Qin Feiyang, who was standing motionless within the barrier, disappeared without a trace. By the time everyone came back to their senses, Qin Feiyang had already appeared beside the Mad Scientist and the White-Eyed Wolf. Whoosh! Seeing that Qin Feiyang was safe, everyone let out a sigh of relief. What are you doing? However, the god of the divine kingdom stared at Ice Dragon with extreme anger. Ice Dragon said indifferently, "This is the Nether King's hell. Do you think it's appropriate for you to kill my people in front of me?" Hearing these biased words, the god of the divine kingdom couldn't help but clench his fists. What? You want to compete with me? Although I'm not a god, your strength might not be stronger than mine. Ice Dragon raised his head and looked at the god of the divine kingdom, his eyes filled with amusement. The Mad Scientist and the White-Eyed Wolf looked at Ice Dragon. At this moment, the domineering aura and responsibility that Ice Dragon exuded made them look at him in a different light. Qin Feiyang had also come back to his senses. His entire body was covered in cold sweat. The strength of the divine kingdom's god was simply unimaginable. With his current methods, he was no match for the divine kingdom's god. Now you understand the difference between you and the divine kingdom's god. Don't get too full of yourself. You have to continue working hard. I'll give you 1 day. After visiting your families, immediately return to the divine kingdom and complete your mission. Ice Dragon's voice sounded in the minds of Qin Feiyang and the other two. 1 day. Qin Feiyang frowned. How could 1 day be enough? He wanted to use this opportunity to spend more time with his family. Don't go too far. We've fought in the Divine Kingdom for so many years. Give us at least 1 year to reunite with our families. The mad scientist said telepathically. Do you have the final say, or do I? Ice Dragon's tone was cold. But, isn't a day too short? How about we discuss it for half a year? Madman thought. Ice Dragon pondered for a moment and said, 3 days. 3 days at most. If I don't see you back in 3 days, don't blame me for being ruthless. Damn you. Madman cursed in his heart. Let's go. Qin Feiyang sighed inwardly. He turned around and rushed to the front of the fire python, saying, let's go. All right. The fire python nodded and bowed to the ice dragon. Then, it immediately led Qin Feiyang and the others away from this dangerous place. Even Qin Feiyang was no match for the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, which showed how terrifying his strength was. As a guardian, he controlled the rule power of the underworld king's hell. In the eyes of ordinary people, he was the ruler of this world. However, in the face of an existence like the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, the rule power of the underworld king's hell was meaningless. The second level of the divine sight. The fire python brought Qin Feiyang and the others to the sky above a mountain range. That's right. They didn't stay in the underworld king's hell and went directly to the second level. Whoosh! Only when they arrived at the second level did Fire dance and the others feel relieved. That damn ice dragon, he's going too far. Madman roared in anger. What's wrong? Everyone looked at him in confusion. Ice Dragon had saved Qin Feiyang before. Why was he scolding him now? Madman said helplessly, he secretly sent us a message saying that he would only give us 3 days. After 3 days, we must return to the Divine Kingdom. Only 3 days. The group was stunned. He said that he would only give us 1 day. We had to beg him for 3 days. Don't you think he's going too far? He even wants to control the time we spend with our families. Don't you think he's going too far? Madman was indignant. The group smiled bitterly. What could they do? Who asked Ice Dragon to be stronger than them? 3 days is indeed too short. Looks like we have to change the plan. Qin Feiyang sighed. Why don't we ignore him? White-Eyed Wolf asked. He is a person who does what he says. If we ignore him, it's not only us who will suffer, but also our families. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Everyone fell silent. They finally came back, and they only had 3 days. What could they do? Forget it. It's useless to be angry. Lin Yi waved her hand, looked at Qin Feiyang, and asked, Brother Feiyang, how strong is this Divine Kingdom's dominator? Even your 3,000 incarnations are not his opponent. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. If he knew how strong the Divine Kingdom's dominator was, he wouldn't challenge the other party this time. Sigh. It seems that we were too optimistic before. Madman sighed. White-Eyed Wolf also nodded. When it came to the Divine Kingdom's dominator, they were all worried. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said with a smile, although this challenge is a bit self-humiliating, it's a good thing for us. A good thing? Madman and White-Eyed Wolf were taken aback. Yes. Because of this challenge, we have a preliminary understanding of the Divine Kingdom's dominator's strength. Furthermore, through this lesson, we've realized our own inadequacies. Furthermore, we should put away our contempt for the Scandinavian nation. Qin Feiyang said. That's true. If we don't know the strength of the Divine Kingdom's dominator in advance, we don't know how strong we will become in the end. When we face him, we will definitely suffer a great loss. Madman and White-Eyed Wolf nodded. Therefore, one must not be blinded by victory. One must always remain calm and deal with all unknown possibilities. But it's really surprising that this person also mastered the law of life and death. Li Feng frowned. He seemed to have said before that if one wants to become a true dominator, the first condition is to comprehend the law of life and death. Listening to what he said, is it possible that every dominator in the world has mastered the law of life and death? Lin Yi looked at them suspiciously. Maybe. Qin Feiyang nodded. Now, the law of life and death was no longer important. The important thing was that the Divine Kingdom's dominator's final means was simply unheard of. Wait. Suddenly, Madman stretched out his hand, interrupted everyone's thoughts, and said in surprise, the Divine Kingdom's dominator seems to have mentioned a realm before. Is there a new realm above the dominator realm? A new realm? Qin Feiyang and others looked at each other, their eyes full of surprise. Why don't we ask Ice Dragon? His attitude towards us is still okay. As long as we humbly ask him for advice, he should not embarrass us. White-Eyed Wolf said cautiously. His attitude is still okay. Brother Wolf, are you talking in your sleep? If it's really possible, why would he only give us 3 days? Madman was speechless. That's another matter. He did save little Qin Zi before. White-Eyed Wolf waved his hand. Madman pursed his lips. This, Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and waved his hand, let's not understand these things first, lest everyone bite off more than they can chew. The top priority is to integrate all the ultimate mysteries first. It makes sense. Madman nodded. If everyone knew that there might be a new realm above the Dominator realm, it was inevitable that some people would be impetuous. Moreover, we don't need to inquire about this matter. Because even if we humbly ask him for advice, he may not tell us. But Long Chen and Long Qin are different. They are Ice Dragon's biological children. If we let them inquire, the success rate will definitely be higher than us. Qin Feiyang said. Yes. We can let them go. Madman patted his head, looked at Qin Feiyang, and said, how about I go to the dragons now and tell Long Chen and Long Qin about this matter first? Anyway, with the badge and the space-time tunnel, it would only take a short time to come and go. Wait. But at this time, Fire Python was stunned. He closed his eyes and carefully sensed for a while. Looking at Qin Feiyang and the other two, he said with a smile, you don't need to go, the siblings have already entered hell. They have already entered hell. The three were stunned. Yes. They also know that the dominator of the Divine Kingdom was brought to hell by Ice Dragon and Small Beast. This time, they finally returned to the Sky Cloud realm. They will definitely come to hell to visit Ice Dragon. The White-Eyed Wolf patted its head in realization. It bared its teeth at the Fire Python and said, bring them here. This is not good. Fire Python was a little scared. Because the siblings were the children of Ice Dragon. He, as a guardian, was given by Ice Dragon and Small Beast. How could he dare to bring them to the second floor without the consent of the siblings? What are you afraid of? We are here. White-Eyed Wolf comforted. This, Fire Python looked at Qin Feiyang. It's okay. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay. Fire Python nodded. With a turn of its claws, a man and a woman appeared in the void next to it. Who else could it be but Long Qin and Long Chen? Suddenly being brought to the second floor by Fire Python, the siblings were a little stunned. When they saw Qin Feiyang and the others, the siblings were stunned again. Then, when they saw Fire Python with Qin Feiyang and the others, they suddenly realized. Long Qin looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and pursed his lips. I thought it was some reckless person who wanted to harm us. It turns out that you guys are behind this. With your identity and status, who dares to harm you? Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. Long Chen asked, are you going back to the Great Qin? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, are you here to visit father? Otherwise, why would we come to the Nether King's hell? Long Chen smiled and looked at Fire Python. We were just looking for you. You are the guardian of the Nether King's hell. You must know where my father is now. I hope you can take us there. His tone was very gentle and his attitude was very polite. I know. Fire Python nodded and hesitated. But what? The siblings were shocked. Did something happen to their father? Don't be nervous. Ice Dragon is doing very well now. We have seen him before. But now, he is with the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. I am afraid it is not the time to see him. Lunatic said. You have already been there. Did you have a conflict with him? Long Chen asked worriedly. Chapter 43-46. I didn't have any conflict with your father, but with the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. As the madman spoke, he turned to look at Qin Feiyang. His face was filled with ridicule. You're still gloating. Qin Feiyang said with a dark face, if you and the white-eyed wolf hadn't provoked me, would I have fought with him? What? You had a fight with the ruler of the Divine Kingdom? Long Chen and Long Qin were surprised. Is this for real? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded with a wry smile. What was the result? Long Qin's face was full of curiosity. The result, Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed, I was beaten to the point that I couldn't fight back. If it weren't for your father, I would have died in his hands. It can't be. The brother and sister looked at each other. With Qin Feiyang's current strength, he was beaten to the point that he couldn't fight back. You didn't activate the 3,000 incarnations? Long Chen recovered and asked. Yes. Except for the Eye of Heaven, I used all my means, but the ruler of the Divine Kingdom used only one move to completely suppress me. Recalling the situation at that time, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. One move. Long Chen was stunned when he heard this. What kind of means could suppress Qin Feiyang's 3,000 incarnations with just one move? This move seems to have evolved from the law of death, but we have never seen it before. So now, we are all suspecting that there may be a new realm above the ruler realm. Originally, I wanted to find you and ask you to help me investigate it. After all, it's easier to talk to you in front of the Ice Dragon. But we didn't expect you to come to the Nether King's hell, so we asked Brother Hua to bring you here. Qin Feiyang said. So that's how it is. A new realm, the brother and sister murmured. They didn't expect to find a new world when they returned to the Sky Cloud realm. How about this? Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then looked at the Fire Python and said, Brother Fire, it's not appropriate for them to meet the Ice Dragon directly. After you send us off, go to the Nether King's hell alone and bring the Ice Dragon here. Let them reunite here. All right. The Fire Python nodded. The white-eyed wolf turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, then, should we go to the ancient realm first or the great Qin Empire first? Since it's on the way, I'll definitely go to the ancient realm first. Madman said without hesitation. Li Feng looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I also want to return to the ancient world first. Because it had been many years since he had gone back to the village to pay respects to the dead. I know you all want to go back. But now, we only have 3 days. I have to make arrangements in advance. White-eyed Wolf said in distress. 3 days? What do you mean? Long Qin looked at the three of them suspiciously. Isn't it because of your father? He only gave us 3 days to be reunited with our families. White-eyed Wolf snorted coldly. Long Qin frowned and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Wait a moment, I'll go talk to him. This is really too unreasonable. Don't. If we annoy him later, we won't even have 3 days. White-eyed Wolf hurriedly stopped him. But, Long Qin frowned. Madman shook his head and sighed. I know you mean well, but we really can't afford to offend your father. If we can't afford to offend him, can't we just avoid him? 3 days it is. Let's go to the ancient realm first and see master. Qin Feiyang said. He had 2 masters. One was Yi Zhong of the ancient realm, and the other was the deputy alliance master of the sky cloud realm. Although his current strength had far surpassed the 2 of them, he couldn't forget his roots. Looking at old man Yi is fake. Missing Shangguan Qiu is the real deal. White-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang playfully. Yes. This Shangguan Qiu has a special liking for you. We haven't seen each other for so many years. Do you miss me? Madman slapped his head and couldn't help but look at Qin Feiyang playfully. Shangguan Qiu, Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and said helplessly, can you guys stop joking? How did he make these 2 bad friends? It was completely an attitude of wanting to see the world in chaos. Suddenly, Fire Python said, there's something I forgot to tell you. What is it? Qin Feiyang and the others were suspicious. Fire Python smiled. There's a woman named Wang Yu, her. Not long after you guys returned to the Sky Cloud realm, she came to the Divine Ruins and asked me to help send her to the Ancient Realm. Wang Yu, her. She went to the Ancient Realm? White-eyed Wolf was stunned. Yes. Fire Python nodded. Little Qin Zi, why did she go to the Ancient Realm? White-eyed Wolf looked suspiciously at Qin Feiyang and asked. How would I know? Qin Feiyang was speechless. He hadn't been in the Great Qin all these years. Could it be that she hasn't given up on you? Is that why she went to find you? White-eyed Wolf muttered. Qin Feiyang's veins were bulging. He kicked him and said angrily, I'm telling you, don't talk nonsense like this in the future. Back then, in order to enlighten Wang Yu, he had spent a lot of effort to appease her. He didn't want their relationship to become complicated because of some nonsense. TCH, you don't know how lucky you are. If it were me, White-eyed Wolf looked disdainfully at Qin Feiyang, but before he finished speaking, he felt a cold gaze. He quickly looked at Fire Dance and said with an embarrassed smile, my dear wife, I'm just talking nonsense. Don't take it seriously. The corner of Fire Dance's mouth twitched slightly. She didn't say anything. Was there a need to be so afraid of her? Long Qin, who was standing beside Long Chen, looked at White-eyed Wolf and Fire Dance with a trace of disappointment in his eyes. Qin Feiyang glanced at Long Qin, then looked at Fire Python and said with a smile, Brother Fire, I'll have to trouble you again. But before that, let me give you a gift. A gift? Fire Python was stunned. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and ultimate profundity inheritances appeared one after another. Apart from the laws of light and darkness and the laws of life and death, there were ultimate profundities of all the laws, including the ordinary laws. This, Fire Python was stunned. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, don't say thank you. There's no need for that between brothers. Fire Python didn't even think of saying thank you because he didn't plan to accept it at all. After all, this gift was too precious. Rather than giving it to him, it was better to give it to someone with a better future. However, seeing that Qin Feiyang's attitude and tone were very firm, he knew that he definitely couldn't refuse. Therefore, he put it away with a clear conscience. As Qin Feiyang said, they were all brothers. If he still refused, it would seem too pretentious. Immediately, Fire Python turned to look at Long Chen and his sister and said respectfully, then I'll send them to the ancient realm first. Please wait for a moment. Okay. Long Chen smiled slightly. Fire Python immediately left with Qin Feiyang and the others. Long Qin watched the group leave, then turned to Long Chen and asked, Brother, why do you think father did this? Isn't he too overbearing? Long Chen was slightly stunned and looked at his sister in front of him. This little sister's reaction seemed to be a bit too big. Why are you looking at me? Long Qin was suspicious. Long Chen asked seriously, little sister, tell me honestly, do you have feelings for the white-eyed wolf? Ah. Long Qin didn't expect that Long Chen would suddenly ask this question. Caught off guard, she didn't know how to answer at all. She looked a little angry and her cheeks were a little red. Alas! Long Chen sighed secretly. Although Long Qin didn't answer, Long Qin's reaction was enough to explain everything. It was really an ill-fated relationship. There were so many people, why did she fall for the white-eyed wolf? The reason why father only gave them 3 days, I think it should be because he was worried that they would relax after spending too much time with their family, and at the same time, it would delay their cultivation. Long Chen guessed. Even so, it's not necessary to give them only 3 days. Long Qin said. The strength of the ruler of the divine kingdom is beyond our imagination. As long as we make a wrong move, we will end up with a broken body. So at this time, we can't relax at all. 3 days is indeed a short time, but we can do a lot of things. Long Chen smiled slightly. Ancient world. Northern region, land of death. It was as dark as ever, and the air was filled with a tragic aura. Back then, Qin Feiyang met the fire lotus here. It was also here that he had a dispute with Guosweki's family. Qin Feiyang turned his head to look at Frenzy and the others and said, I will only stay in the ancient world for 1 day. You have to arrange your time well. Okay. Frenzy nodded and said angrily, that damn ice dragon, when I become stronger, I will definitely press him to the ground and rub his skin. Remember to call me when the time comes. White-eyed wolf also said. Call you? Frenzy and Qin Feiyang looked at each other. Forget it. Who knows, I might be your father-in-law in the future. Then I will go directly to the divine land. Shall we meet here tomorrow morning? Li Feng looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and asked. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Li Feng immediately opened a time passage and left. Let's go too. Frenzy also opened a time passage and pulled Zhuo Shaoxian in. Where are we going? Zhuo Shaoxian was puzzled. Frenzy said, didn't I tell you before? There is an old man who has been helping me. He is one of the guardians of the ancient world. This time, we must visit him. Then when are we going to pay respects to your adoptive father and your grandfather? Zhuo Shaoxian asked. Frenzy's grandfather was naturally the Grand Elder of the Ninth Heaven Palace. Although they were not related by blood, they had a deep relationship. We will go after visiting that old man. Along with the conversation, the two gradually disappeared. Lin Yi turned to look at Qin Feiyang and smiled, Brother Feiyang, I will also visit Master. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Lin Yi's master was the guardian of the northern region. He used to be a great help to them. With Li Feng, Frenzy, Zhuo Shaoxian, and Lin Yi leaving one after another, only Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, Fire Dance, and Mu Qing were left here. White-Eyed Wolf looked at Qin Feiyang with flickering eyes and suddenly bared his teeth, Sister Feng, I will take you around and meet some old friends. Little Qin Zi, although there are many girls waiting for you, remember to control yourself and meet at the Ninth Heaven Palace at night. Before leaving, White-Eyed Wolf left such a sentence, which almost made Qin Feiyang go berserk. Chapter 43-47. Mu Qing suddenly said, to be honest, you really don't look like a man. Huh? Qin Feiyang turned to look at Mu Qing. What did she mean? Why was she attacking him personally? You don't even care about the mermaid princess. Why are you so pretentious all the time? If it were me, and there were so many girls who liked me, and they were all so outstanding and beautiful, I would definitely take all of them. Tell me the truth, is there something wrong with you? I have a secret recipe passed down in my family. Maybe it can help you. Mu Qing looked at him curiously. Qin Feiyang's face suddenly darkened, and the veins on his forehead popped out. What kind of people did she know? She felt uncomfortable if she didn't insult him for a day. Seeing that the situation was not good, Mu Qin hurriedly took a few steps back and looked at Qin Feiyang warily. A gentleman uses his mouth, not his fists. Wait, there will be a time when you beg me. Okay. I beg you. Help me take a look at the current location of Wang Yu, Shangguan Qiu, Hua Yi, and Master. Qin Feiyang felt rather helpless. All of them had the attitude of someone who could easily defeat him. And he had many acquaintances in the ancient world. For example, Supreme Cloud, Supreme Beast, various emperors, and so on. There was also Yi Cheng and Yi Shui. There were also his former subordinates, Wang Daoyuan, Li Changhe, Lei Bing, Wang Qi, Pan Yunzhang, and so on. But time was limited. He couldn't visit them one by one. And he only had one day. He didn't want to disturb them, so that when they were separated, it would only add to their sadness. Mu Qin smiled proudly and said, Hua Yi must be in the Empyrean Palace. Not necessarily. It's not like you haven't seen this guy before. Although he was the deputy palace master of the Empyrean Palace before, did he manage anything? He was outside all day long. Qin Feiyang shook his head. This was a very irresponsible man. No, no, no. The past is the past. The present is the present. Don't forget, there is someone controlling him now. How dare he be presumptuous? Mu Qin smirked. Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment before he burst into laughter. Indeed. Now that Shangguan Fenglan was in charge, even if Hua Yi had more courage, he wouldn't dare to act rashly. Mu Qin activated his all-seeing eye. Soon, they found the whereabouts of these people. Yi Zhong and Shangguan Qiu were both in the Divine Land. Hua Yi was indeed in the Nine Heavens Palace, he did not run around. As for Wang Yu, at the moment, he was also in the Divine Land. In that case, we have to go to the Divine Land first. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and opened a time passage. After the dragons were destroyed, Yi Zhong took control of China. Of course. Yi Zhong did not have such thoughts. Right now, he only wanted to live in seclusion in the mountains and enjoy the rest of his life. However, he couldn't win against everyone's support. Because he himself was a person of virtue and prestige, and moreover, he was Qin Feiyang's master, everyone would naturally hold him in high regard, and he had no choice but to accept this heavy responsibility. Of course. Supremacy Beast and Supremacy Cloud could not escape either. After all, in today's ancient world, except for Yi Zhong, they had the highest status. Therefore, Yi Zhong had been holding on to them. Now, they were basically the ones who handled the affairs of the ancient world. Yi Zhong had become the most relaxed one. Sometimes. Supremacy Cloud and Supremacy Beast were a little indignant. If we had known that you would not care about the affairs, we would have been the overlords of the ancient world. In fact, Supremacy Cloud and Supremacy Beast used to be ambitious. They both wanted to unify the ancient world and become the only sovereign. But later, after being controlled by Qin Feiyang and experiencing countless hardships, they became indifferent to power and interests. It was also because of this that they did not compete with Yi Zhong in the beginning. Who would have thought that in the end, they still couldn't escape? They did not have a day of leisure and were busy all day long. And with Yi Zhong's character, naturally, he would not separate the Divine Land from the four regions. Now, whether it was the Ninth Heaven Palace, the Treasure Pavilion, or the giants of the Eastern Tomb, the Western Desert, or the Southern Wilderness, they could freely enter and leave the Divine Land. Even the disciples of the major forces, as long as they were talented, had the opportunity to enter the Divine Land to further their studies. The ancient world today could be said to be thriving. Over the years, there had been almost no friction between the major forces. Everyone was united, friendly, supported each other, and helped each other, allowing this land to enter an unprecedented period of peace. Of course. No matter how many years had passed, everyone would not forget these few people. These people were Qin Feiyang, Frenzy, Qin Batian, and Lu Xingyang. The ancient world could be what it was today all because of them. The Divine Land. The former Divine Dragon Island had long been reduced to ashes. Now it was a mountain with lush vegetation and full of vitality. It was in the heart of the mountain. It was the former central area of the Divine Dragon Island. In the mountain, there was an inconspicuous small wooden building. The wooden building was old and mottled, but very neat and clean. Around it, there was a large vegetable garden and an orchard. An old man with white hair was standing in the orchard at this moment, wearing plain clothes, looking like an ordinary old man who was constantly trimming the withered branches and leaves. This person was Yi Zhong. Swish! Suddenly, a space-time passage appeared. Yi Zhong sensed the aura of the space-time law and could not help but put down the work in his hand and turned his head to look suspiciously. This seems to be the power of the law. He stared at the space-time passage with a trace of shock in his eyes. But soon, this shock was replaced by bewilderment. Because two familiar auras came from the space-time passage. This aura, Yi Zhong's heart suddenly tensed up. Standing under the fruit tree, he stared at the space-time passage. Finally, two familiar figures walked out of the space-time passage. Feiyang. Mu Qing. Yi Zhong was stunned on the spot. How could these two people appear in front of him? He must be dreaming. He slowly raised his hand, grabbed his arm, and suddenly twisted it hard. A sharp pain swept over. It hurts. It's not a dream. Master, what are you doing? Seeing this scene, Qin Feiyang hurriedly ran up and helped to rub Yi Zhong's arm. Looking at the young man standing in front of him, looking at the young man's concern for him, Yi Zhong finally confirmed that this was not a dream. This kid really came back. Greetings, Elder Yi. Mu Qing also stepped forward and bowed in greeting. Good, 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 Yi Zhong nodded repeatedly, looking at Mu Qing for a moment, and then looking at Qin Feiyang for a moment. Tears suddenly fell down. Master, why are you still crying? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Yi Zhong knocked Qin Feiyang's head fiercely and said angrily, I see that you brat came back alive, can't I be happy? Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded, rubbing his forehead, and his face was full of gratitude. This was his concern for him. All these years, his master must have been worried about him in the ancient world. Even after so many years, this old man still treated him like a child and cared for him. It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back, come, let me see if you've changed after all these years. Yi Zhong's tears flowed down his face. These were indeed tears of joy. He pulled Qin Feiyang to the stone table next to him and waved to Mu Qing, saying, Silly boy, what are you still standing there for? Come and sit down quickly. Silly boy, Mu Qing murmured. In his heart, there was also an inexplicable feeling. He had heard the words silly boy when his father was still alive. This feeling that he had not felt in a long time caused his eyes to heat up. However, he didn't want to lose too much face, so he turned his head, wiped away the tears that were about to fall, walked to the stone table with a smile, and sat opposite Qin Feiyang and Yi Zhong. Yi Zhong's trembling hands firmly grasped Qin Feiyang's hand, looked up and down, left and right, and carefully sized him up for a long time, nodded and smiled. There's not much change, just a little more vicissitudes. Of course. I'm already so old now, I'm afraid that the younger generation of the ancient world has already called me an old antique. Qin Feiyang laughed. Brat, in front of me, you still dare to say that you're old? Yi Zhong patted Qin Feiyang's head and said with a smile, but it's true, in the eyes of many juniors now, you're already an ancestor-level person. Qin Feiyang rubbed his head. There was no other way. Although he didn't want to admit it, his age was indeed not young. Yi Zhong wiped away his disappointing tears and turned to look at Mu Qing. Mu Qing hurriedly said, "Don't look at me, I'm still very young, and I haven't experienced any vicissitudes." Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched, looked at Mu Qing strangely, and said, "Why do I suddenly find that your skin is thicker than that of the white-eyed wolf? This is the truth." Mu Qing pursed her lips. "Yes. It's the truth that you're thick-skinned." Qin Feiyang nodded. "What nonsense are you talking about? I said that I'm young, and that's the truth." Mu Qing glared at him. Looking at the two quarreling, Yi Zhong didn't say anything, and just looked at them silently, his face full of love. "Wait." Suddenly, he seemed to think of something, turned to Qin Feiyang and asked, "Why don't I see the lunatic and the white-eyed wolf?" "They won't. Don't be nervous. They're fine." Qin Feiyang hurriedly comforted him. In front of Yi Zhong, he didn't dare to joke. If he said that something had happened to the lunatic and the white-eyed wolf, Yi Zhong would definitely be extremely sad. "They're fine." Yi Zhong was slightly taken aback and frowned, "Then where are they? Are they still in the sky cloud realm? You even know about the sky cloud realm?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. Logically speaking, Yi Zhong should only know about the fourth level of the miracle. "Do you really think that this old man hasn't seen the world?" Yi Zhong rolled his eyes at him and said with a smile, "These years, at the end of the year, this old man will take Shui, to the Great Qin to visit your parents." "Huh?" Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing looked at each other. Every year at the end of the year, Yi Zhong and Yi Shui would go to the Great Qin. This was too unexpected. Yi Zhong said with a smile, "You're this old man's disciple, and they're your family. We're a family, and a family must visit each other more often." "That's true." Qin Feiyang laughed dryly. Yi Zhong said, "Every time we go to the Great Qin, we need the fire python's help, so he told us a lot about you." "So that's how it is." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. Yi Zhong asked, "That lunatic and the white-eyed wolf, are they going directly to the Great Qin now?" "No. Time is tight, so they've all gone to visit their friends and family. We'll meet up at the Nine Heavens Palace tonight and have a good gathering." Qin Feiyang smiled. Yi Zhong nodded in realization and breathed a sigh of relief. He said with a smile, "This old man knew that you guys are all lucky people, so there definitely won't be any accidents." "Wait a minute," but before he finished speaking, Yi Zhong suddenly frowned and looked suspiciously at Qin Feiyang, asking, "Time is tight, what do you mean?" Facing this question, Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing looked at each other, not knowing if they should tell Yi Zhong. Chapter 43-48. What's wrong? Yi Zhong looked at the two of them suspiciously. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said with a smile, "Actually, it's nothing. We just have a lot of things to deal with, so we can't stay in the ancient world for long." Yi Zhong asked, "Are you in a hurry to return to the Great Qin?" "Not really. Let's put it this way. This time, we only have 3 days to come back. After 3 days, we must return to the sky cloud realm." Qin Feiyang said. Originally, they had to return to the Divine Kingdom, but Yi Zhong definitely didn't know the situation in the Divine Kingdom, so it was better not to say it, lest he worry about them. 3 days? Yi Zhong was stunned. This was too hasty. What could they do in 3 days? Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Just think of it as us giving ourselves 3 days off." Yi Zhong nodded, but suddenly his face changed, and he asked, "Did something big happen in the sky cloud realm? This time, you took the time to come back. Are you going to tell us something?" "No, no." Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. Sure enough. Some things couldn't be said. Otherwise, everyone would be worried about him. "Then what's going on?" Yi Zhong frowned. It wasn't easy to come back, but in the end, they only had 3 days. 3 days, in the blink of an eye, it had passed. They didn't even have time to gather. You really don't have to worry. In fact, the situation in the Sky Cloud realm is a little unstable now, and we need someone to oversee it. Now, our strength is already the strongest in the Sky Cloud realm, so the Sky Cloud realm can't leave us for the time being. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly and tried his best to comfort him. The strongest? Yi Zhong was stunned. Of course. Qin Feiyang nodded and pointed to Mu Qing next to him, saying, "If you don't believe me, you can ask him." Yi Zhong looked at Mu Qing. Mu Qing glanced at Qin Feiyang and nodded. He didn't lie to you about this. Our current strength has already surpassed the older generation of the Sky Cloud realm. We are indeed the strongest. After receiving Mu Qing's reply, Yi Zhong finally believed Qin Feiyang's words. He nodded and said in a small voice, "Not bad. You're worthy of being the talent I value." Ha! Qin Feiyang laughed dryly and turned to look at the vegetable garden and orchard around him. In the vegetable garden, the green vegetables were like jade under the nourishment of the soul vein and crystal vein, releasing vitality and vitality. In the orchard, there were all kinds of fruit trees. Some fruit trees were blooming. Some fruit trees had already borne fruit. The fragrance of fruits could be smelled from afar. Why didn't I think of Yi Cheng and Shui He? Qin Feiyang asked. Yi Zhong chuckled. They're different from me. I'm already an old man, but they're still young, so they're all busy outside. Qin Feiyang said, I guess their status in the ancient realm isn't low now. The predecessors plant trees, and the descendants enjoy the shade. This is all thanks to you. Yi Zhong waved his hand. If it weren't for Qin Feiyang and the madman leading many experts to destroy the divine dragon island and destroy the dragons, how could Yi Cheng and Yi Shui have today's achievements and status? It could be said that it was all thanks to them. I can't say. If they don't have the ability, no matter how good their relationship with me is, the world won't believe them. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. That's a must. Whether it's Yi Cheng or Shui, they're all outstanding. Yi Zhong laughed loudly, his brows full of pride. What about the Beast Sovereign and the Cloud Sovereign? Are they doing well now? Qin Feiyang asked. They're doing well. They're now in charge of the affairs of the Human Emperor Palace. Yi Zhong nodded. The Human Emperor Palace? Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing looked at each other, their faces full of suspicion. Which force was this? They had never heard of it before. Back then, when you left the ancient realm, I gathered the Beast Sovereign, the Cloud Sovereign, and the Divine Emperors to discuss the future development of the ancient realm. The Beast Sovereign suggested that since the dragons had been destroyed, the Dragon God Palace and the Dragon-Slaying Palace shouldn't continue to exist. Because both the Dragon God Palace and the Dragon-Slaying Palace are related to the dragons, so after our discussion, we unanimously decided to disband the Dragon-Slaying Palace and the Dragon God Palace from then on. But we must continue to cultivate the talents of the ancient realm. Therefore, we built a new Human Emperor Palace. Now, the Human Emperor Palace is the only cultivation holy land in the Divine Land. Yi Zhong explained. I see. Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing nodded in understanding. This old man is not talented, but I was pushed to the position of Lord of the Human Emperor Palace by everyone. The Beast Sovereign and the Cloud Sovereign are the Vice Lords of the Human Emperor Palace. As for the Divine Emperors and Divine Generals of the Dragon-Slaying Palace, they are now holding important positions in the Human Emperor Palace. Yi Zhong smiled slightly. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, You are too modest. You being the Lord of the Human Emperor Palace is what everyone wants. Don't talk nonsense. If we are talking about what everyone wants, it's you and Lunatic. Because back then, you contributed the most in the battle against the dragons, but you have ambitions in your hearts. The ancient realm can't keep you. Yi Zhong shook his head and sighed. What ambitions can we have? We were forced to go to the sky cloud realm. Moreover, you know that I have no interest in power. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. If he was interested in power, he would have succeeded the throne when he was in the Great Qin. Of course. If he had succeeded the throne at that time, he definitely wouldn't have achieved what he had today. I know. But then again, although you have been away for so many years, the beings of the ancient realm haven't forgotten you. You can go to the human emperor palace now. There are 2 statues on both sides of the human emperor palace's gate. One is you, and the other is lunatic. Every disciple who enters the human emperor palace for the first time has to bow to your statues. Yi Zhong said with a smile as he brewed tea. How could he not be proud to have such outstanding disciples? Is it that exaggerated? Qin Feiyang was stunned. There are even more exaggerated. Now, many people run to your statues to pray when they encounter difficulties. Some ask for blessings, some ask for peace, and some even ask for children. In short, everyone has now worshipped you as gods. Yi Zhong said. Children? The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. He could understand asking for blessings and peace, but asking for children. He wasn't the child giving guanyin. This was a little ridiculous. It's not just the human emperor palace. Basically, all the big and small cities in the ancient realm have your statues. So now, even a 3-year-old child can recognize you. Yi Zhong chuckled. Qin Feiyang said in surprise, so, we have to change our appearances when we walk in the ancient realm in the future. If you don't want to cause a stir, you do have to do this. Yi Zhong said. What's the difference between this and the sky cloud realm, black tortoise realm, Great Qin, and forgotten continent? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Isn't this a good thing? Because this way, you can get the power of faith as soon as possible. Mu Qin said telepathically. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Mu Qin's words made sense. The power of faith was obvious to all. Although the Great Qin, Forgotten Continent, Ancient Realm, Black Tortoise Realm, and Sky Cloud Realm couldn't compare to the Divine Kingdom, the power of faith that was born when they were added together couldn't be underestimated. What are you thinking about? Yi Zhong looked at him curiously. Nothing. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and took out exquisite tea jars, placing them on the stone table in front of him. This was the divine tea that he specially asked Fire Lotus to prepare for him last night. There were 2 caddies of each type of divine tea. There were also many Bodhi divine tea and Bodhi fruits. Because he knew that Yi Zhong liked to drink tea, he prepared these tea leaves as a gift to this old man. If it were someone else, he definitely wouldn't be willing. What's this? Yi Zhong was suspicious. You'll know when you open it. Qin Feiyang smiled. Puzzled, Yi Zhong opened a can of tea leaves. A rich tea aroma immediately greeted him. Every tea leaf inside was like a precious jade, sparkling and translucent. This is, although Yi Zhong hadn't seen divine tea before, he could tell that it was extraordinary at a glance. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, these are all divine teas, and there are even supreme-grade divine teas. There are more than 20 varieties, enough for you to drink for many years. Supreme-grade divine tea. Yi Zhong was stunned. And there were more than 20 varieties. How incredible. Back then, Qin Feiyang had gotten 20 varieties from Jijiu. In addition to the ancient dragon god tea and a few divine teas from Longchen, he indeed had more than 20 varieties now. Are you satisfied with this gift? Qin Feiyang chuckled. Yes. Very. I'm even more satisfied than giving this old man a few sovereign weapons. Yi Zhong smiled happily. For someone who loved tea, the value of a sovereign weapon couldn't compare to the divine tea. It was the same for someone who loved wine. For example, if a sovereign weapon and a jar of peerless divine wine were placed in front of Little Rabbit, she would definitely choose the divine wine. I'm glad you like it. Qin Feiyang chuckled, took a sip of the tea that Yi Zhong had brewed, and asked, "Is Wang Yuer in the divine land now?" "That girl is indeed in the divine land now, and she's in the human sovereign palace. She's the most outstanding disciple there." At the mention of Wang Yuer, Yi Zhong's face was full of praise. The most outstanding disciple? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. When she entered the human sovereign palace, she showed extraordinary talent. I thought she was a genius born in the ancient world. But one year, when I took Shui to the Great Qin to visit your parents, I mentioned Wang Yuer by chance. In the end, your parents told me that Wang Yuer was from the Forgotten Continent. And she had a relationship with you before. Yi Zhong shook his head with a smile. Mu Qing looked at Qin Feiyang mockingly and said, "Look, even you know what happened between you and Wang Yuer." Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and looked at Yi Zhong, saying, "Master, I've made it clear to her that she's my younger sister from now on. So, don't mention this to outsiders in the future, lest it causes unnecessary misunderstandings." Do you think I'm stupid? I definitely won't talk nonsense. But to be honest, this little girl is not only beautiful, but also talented. Now, she's recognized as a goddess in the human sovereign palace. I don't know how many young talents are pursuing her. But why don't you like her? Yi Zhong was very puzzled. Chapter 43-49. She's such an outstanding woman. There's no man in the world who wouldn't like her. In the past, if it weren't for various reasons, we might have already been together. So, I can only say that we're not fated to be together. Moreover, I don't want to be a man who has multiple wives. Qin Feiyang shook his head. It's indeed good to be responsible for your relationship. But remember, even if you don't like her, you can't hurt the woman who likes you. Yi Zhong reminded. I know that. Whether it's you, or Shengguan Xiu, I'll do my best to reduce the harm to them. Qin Feiyang said. That's good. Yi Zhong smiled and asked, only 3 days. How many days do you plan to stay in the ancient world? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said apologetically, I'm preparing to return to the Great Qin Empire tomorrow morning. All right. I'm already very satisfied that you can come to visit me now. Go back and spend more time with your family. After all, it hasn't been easy for them to raise you all these years. Yi Zhong smiled. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Yi Zhong smiled and said, if you're going to the human emperor's palace to visit Wang Yu, you should also visit your younger siblings while you're at it. What? Younger siblings? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Your younger siblings are also in the human emperor's palace now. Yi Zhong nodded. This, Qin Feiyang was startled. He asked suspiciously, which younger brothers and sisters? How many younger siblings can you have? It's just Qin Li, Qin Xian, Qin Yun, Qin Wan, Qin Ji, Qin Yi, and Qin Yi. Yi Zhong was speechless. Huh? Qin Feiyang said in shock, they've already come to the ancient world? Yes. The first time I went to Great Qin, they insisted on coming to the ancient world to experience it, but your parents did not allow it, saying that they were too young. Later on, when I went the second time, I didn't plan to bring them, but in the end, they all secretly followed me. When I entered the divine ruins and found them, they were all begging for mercy. In the end, I had no choice but to bring them with me to the ancient world. Yi Zhong smiled bitterly. Do my parents know? Qin Feiyang asked. Of course. At first, your parents objected. On one hand, it was because they were too young. On the other hand, they didn't want them to take risks outside. Wouldn't it be better to live a normal life? In the end, seeing that I really couldn't control the hearts of these little fellows, I simply let them go and let them go. Yi Zhong said. Yeah. How nice would it be to live a normal life? These fellows don't know how lucky they are. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. He dreamed of living such a life, but in his life, there were too many things that were beyond his control. Actually, it's not their fault. After all, they are all young people. They definitely want to go out and explore. Besides, with such an outstanding brother like you, how could they be willing to be ordinary? Yi Zhong shook his head and smiled. So, it's still my fault. Qin Feiyang was stunned. You can say that. Yi Zhong looked at him mockingly. Qin Feiyang had a helpless look and asked, what about Qin Haotian? Don't tell me he also came to the ancient world. He wants to, but as the current emperor of the great Qin dynasty, he can't leave at all. Yi Zhong shook his head. That's good. Qin Feiyang breathed a sigh of relief. He had high hopes for this younger brother of his. Moreover, even if he didn't go out to explore, he was confident that Qin Haotian's cultivation would not lose to anyone. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, then these little guys have caused you a lot of trouble all these years. They really haven't. On the contrary. These little guys are very worrisome. And until now, no one knows that you are their brother. In other words, they didn't rely on any relationship with you. The achievements and status they have today are all earned by their own efforts. Yi Zhong hurriedly waved his hand. What achievements and status can they have? Qin Feiyang pursed his lips. You're underestimating them. Let me tell you, their bloodline power has already returned to their ancestors. And they are not arrogant or rash. All of them are very desperate because they don't want to lose face for you. Yi Zhong shook his head. Bloodline reversion. You mean, they already have the bloodline power of the purple gold divine dragon? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. Yi Zhong nodded and said with a smile, it's unexpected. It is indeed unexpected. Qin Feiyang whispered. In the past, he had always thought that only Qin Haotian could return to his bloodline, and Qin Li and the others should not have the potential. He did not expect that all of them would succeed. Wait a minute. All of them succeeded, this did not seem to make sense. Back then, when he was in the Great Qin, he had many brothers and sisters, but other than him, there was not a single person who had returned to their bloodline. Why were all his brothers and sisters returning to their bloodline now? Mu Qin said with a voice transmission, could it be related to Ji Tianyue? Ji Tianyue, Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered as he looked at Yi Zhong and asked, when did their bloodline return to their ancestors? Yi Zhong thought for a moment and said, it seems to have been these years. They transformed into purple gold divine dragons one after another. These years? Qin Feiyang and Mu Qin looked at each other. It seemed that it really had something to do with Ji Tianyue. Then, have they returned to the Great Qin all these years? Qin Feiyang asked again. Definitely. Every 1 or 2 years, they will go back to visit their families at the end of the year. Yi Zhong nodded. Then, have you seen this person? Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and Ji Tianyue's image appeared. Yi Zhong looked up and immediately had a look of surprise on his face. He asked, you know her? Looking at Yi Zhong's reaction, Qin Feiyang and Mu Qin understood. The bloodline return of these brothers and sisters must be due to Ji Tianyue. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. How do you know her? Yi Zhong looked at the two of them suspiciously. Qin Feiyang asked, don't you know her identity? Identity? What identity? The last time I went to the Great Qin, I was very puzzled when I saw her. Because I've never seen her before. At that time, I even asked your parents, but even they didn't know this person's identity. Even your grandfather and great-grandfather didn't know. Yi Zhong shook his head. In that case, she didn't reveal her identity to father and the others. Qin Feiyang muttered. I think she didn't want to cause any sensation. Mu Qing guessed. Qin Feiyang said, although she didn't reveal her identity, she definitely can't cut off the bloodline connection with the Qin clan. You know this? Your great-grandfather told me about this last time. He said that every time he saw this woman, he could feel a kinship that was thicker than water. Yi Zhong said. Of course. Because great-grandpa is her biological grandson. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. What? Emperor Hong is her grandson? Yi Zhong suddenly stood up, his face full of shock. Yes. Over the years in the Sky Cloud realm, I've also found out the origin of the Qin clan. The origin of the Qin clan is in the Sky Cloud realm. And the ancestor of the Qin clan is the leader of the human race in the Sky Cloud realm, the human emperor, but he has been dead for many years. The woman you're talking about is called Ji Tianyue, and she is the wife of the human emperor. My ancestor, Qin Batian, is the son of her and the human emperor. So, as the descendant of my ancestor, Emperor Hong is naturally the grandson of Ji Tianyue and the human emperor. Qin Feiyang explained. So that's how it is. I didn't expect that the Qin clan actually originated from the Sky Cloud realm. And the ancestor of the Qin clan is too powerful, he is the leader of the human race. Yi Zhong was shocked. At first, I was also quite surprised. To tell you the truth, Ji Tianyue's true form is the purple gold divine dragon. So, our purple gold dragon blood is inherited from her. Qin Feiyang smiled. The purple gold divine dragon. Yi Zhong was shocked again. The legendary purple gold divine dragon actually existed in the world. And it was once right in front of him. What a blind man. How could he not recognize such a great figure? Qin Feiyang sighed. These things are quite complicated, I don't think 3 days and 3 nights will be enough. Anyway, you just need to know her identity. Yi Zhong nodded and slowly returned to the stone bench to digest the shocking news. All right. I'll go see Shengguan Qiu, Wang Yu, and those little guys first. We'll go to the 9th Heaven Palace in the evening and join the others. You can call Yi Cheng, Shui, Supreme Beast, and Supreme Cloud. Qin Feiyang got up and smiled. All right. If you go to the Human Emperor Palace today, you can see a wonderful battle. Yi Zhong said. A battle? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Every year, the Human Emperor Palace will hold a competition between disciples, and the rewards will be generous. Wang Yu won't necessarily participate, because her cultivation base is already at the half-step imperishable level. She's already far above the other disciples, but your siblings will definitely participate. Yi Zhong nodded. She has reached the half-step eternal realm. As soon as he said that, Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing were both stunned. Yes. And it seems that she has comprehended a law. Although she is now a disciple of the Human Emperor Palace, her status in the Human Emperor Palace is comparable to the ordinary elders. Yi Zhong laughed. Not bad. Mu Qing nodded. Wang Yu was different from them. They were adventuring in the outside world and had obtained many fortunes and opportunities. Moreover, they had a time array that lasted 5,000 years. But Wang Yu had always been in the Great Qin. Even if she entered the ancient realm now, the resources of the ancient realm were definitely not comparable to those of the Sky Cloud realm and the Black Tortoise realm. To be able to reach the half-step eternal realm in these years was already very impressive. Suddenly, Mu Qing turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, she seems to have opened the gate of potential, right? Even if she hasn't opened it completely. Moreover, to be able to comprehend a law at the half-step eternal realm, even you can't compare to this kind of comprehension. Qin Feiyang laughed. TSK, Mu Qing's face was full of disdain. What was the use of having good comprehension? Wasn't he stronger than this woman now? Something came up at the last minute, today and tomorrow, 2 chapters guaranteed. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.